Hello friends, in this course we will learn how to develop this beautiful website using styled components in React. It will be a single page website which you can use for any kind of company. We will create almost all kind of components you can need to build a website. So we will cover everything about the styled components. So after this course you will be able to design any kind of responsive website using React and the styled component. I'll show you how easy it is to make dark mode. So if I click here, you can see everything is looking beautiful in the dark mode. So if I go down, every section is completely dark and looking gorgeous. Now with a click of button, everything is back to light mode. Now you can see we got everything what a professional website needs. So if your user want everything in dark mode, they can just see everything in dark mode and still everything will look beautiful as they want. And of course, this website is also completely mobile responsive. So in medium sizes, as you see, everything is designed for a better user experience. The same way, if you use the dark mode here, it looks just gorgeous. So after this video, you will have a very good skills of CSS, and also you will understand everything about styled components. The same way we got everything for mobile phones also. So if I lift here, just go to the mobile apps, you can see in mobile sizes it still looks beautiful. The same way, let me use the dark mode now. So like that, as you see, this beautiful black color is here and everything still looks very great, which gives us a very good user experience. Look at this, everything is nice and designed for mobile. So it doesn't matter in which device you are, you will have a great experience and your users will love this website. And if you want more videos like this, please like the video and subscribe my channel. And to support this channel, please share the video. So now, without wasting the time, let's go ahead and get started. So for this project, I have already created a folder and I called it Learn Styled Components. And inside this Learn Styled Components, we will create our React app. If you want to use directly this folder as your app name, then you have to name it with lowercase. But for me, I want to use this as project, so that's why it doesn't matter if it is capital letter or lowercase. With that being said, let's go ahead and open a new terminal. So I'll go inside terminal and here I'll say new terminal. It will open the new terminal for me, and as you see, we are inside the Learn Styled Components. So here I'll say npx create React app to create my app, and we have to give it a name also. So I'll say IT Solutions. You can call it anything you want, and I'll press enter. Now it will take a while and will create the React app for me. Now as you see, the folder is already there and the dependencies are installing. And there we go. Our app is created. So we are ready to create our website. So here I'll clear the terminal and then I'll cd. So I'll change my directory to IT Solutions, which is our app. I'll go inside that folder and here we will install the styled components. So let's go ahead and do this. For this, I'll go to browser and here I'll type styled components. And as you see, it's here. So I'll click on it and here we will click on styled components. So it's the website of them, styledcomponents.com. And from here, I'll click on documentation. Inside the documentation, I'll go ahead and cite installation. And then here are the commands with the help of which we can install the styled components. So if you are using the Node or Node Package Manager, so you would use this command from here, which I'll be doing. But if you are using Yarn, then you can say yarn add styled components. Now let's go back to VS Code, and here I'll just paste that command, and then I'll press enter. It will install the styled components for me. Now it is already installed, so let's clear the terminal, and then to check if everything is working, I'll say npm start. So it will start our app and open the browser for us. Now there we go. Our React app is running, so we are good to go. But before starting with our project, if we go inside our IT solutions, our apps folder, here you can see there are lots of files which we don't need in this project. So let's go ahead and delete them. So I'll delete the favicon, these images here, manifest.json, robots. So I'll delete them. And also inside of index.html, I'll remove this link of favicon because it's no more available, and also these other links here. So let's remove everything, and also these comments from here. So, and I'll save it. And now as you see, everything is clear here, and we got just a short HTML file here. Now after this, inside our source, we have to delete some files also. For example, this app.css, test, index, and also these other files here. So I'll just delete them. And then inside our app.js, we have to remove them because we get otherwise this error here. So I'll just remove those from here. And also I'll delete all the header from here. And instead of that, here I'll say styled components and save it. And of course, inside index.js, we don't have this file, and we don't have this file also. And remove these comments. So save it successfully, which means everything is up and running as we want. So let's go ahead inside browser, and as you see, styled components is here, which means we are ready to learn styled components. So before starting the project, let me show you how styled components works, and after that we will start developing our website. So I'll close this file from here, and also this HTML, we don't need them, and everything is looking good here. So now to use the styled components for the examples, I'll be using this app.js. So now to use the styled components, we have to import this. So here I'll say import styled from styled components, like this. So now how to use this? Now to use the styled components, we use the same thing like the components for React. For example, for React, you would say const, and then you will name your component the same way it's here. So for example, here I'll say this component will be container. So it can be any name you want. And this will be equal to, now here in React we use a function, but for styled components we are using this styled. So I'll say is equal to styled, and then we'll use the dot, and after that we can define which HTML element we want to use for this component. For example, it can be a div, an anchor tag, an image tag, or whatever you need. So here, for example, I'll say for container I need a div, and then after that we use the backticks here. Now double backticks, and inside these backticks we write our CSS. For example, I'll say here the background color of this should be black. But as you see, if I type something of CSS, for example, font and font weight bold, it's already here. Now the reason I get everything available for me is the extensions. Now before going further, let me show you some extensions which I use in this project, so then you can easily follow me in this course. Now for this, I'll just go here inside the extensions, and there you need to install some extension. So the first extension you have to install is this ES7 React Redux React Native snippet. So this extension will help us to write the React components faster. and then you should install the prettier. So it will edit our code. For example, here if I type anything which is a little messy, for example, I'll just use some spaces here and I'll save it. As you see, we get back everything rearranged for us. The same way here, for example, I'll put some extra enter, and if I save it, as you see, the prettier do the jobs for me. So don't forget to use the prettier, and also we need this VS Code styled components extension. After installing this extension of styled components, you will be able to use all the shortcuts inside the styled component also. For example, here if I say JCC, so as you see, we get this justify content center, and I click this and it's already here for me. So this will help you to write your code faster than usual. So I highly recommend you to pause the video and install all those extensions first of all, and then continue with me. With that being said, now let's go ahead and start learning styled components. So first of all, let me remove these two from here. We don't need them. And then let's use this component inside our app. So I'll copy this one, and instead of this div here, I'll be using the container now. So container, and then close the container. And if we go back to browser, as you see, we got this black background. Now let me give some height so you can see everything better. So now I'll go inside my container and I'll define height for this. So I'll say height. The height of this, I'll say it's 100 ph, which means a full screen. So I'll save it, and if you go back, you can see we got everything in black color. So now let's create some more components. So here I'll say const, and then I'll name it. So I'll say it's box1. Of course you can call it anything you want, and then it will be styled, and then we put a dot here and we define our HTML element. So this will be also a div for me for now. So then back tags, and inside this I'll give it some background color also. So I'll say background color like this, and should be red, for example. Now let me use some more boxes. So let me copy this one and I'll paste it twice. So this one will be box 2, and also we get here a box 3 like this. So box 3. And then I'll say here the color of this should be something like green, and for the last one the color of tomato or maybe blue. So I'll say blue, and let's use them now. Now instead of this styled components here, we'll be using the other components also. So I'll be using the box 1 here. So box 1, and I'll close it just like that. So now let me copy this one for box 2 and 3 also. So here it will be box 2, and then it will be box 3 here, box 3, and then inside this we can define some height and width. So the height of this will be something like 200 pixel. So height 200 pixel, and also some width of 200 pixel. So they will look like a box. Now let me use this for the others also. So I'll just paste in them. And as you see, we are repeating ourselves, but don't worry. In a minute, I'll show you how to do this in a better way instead of repeating yourself. For now, I'll just save it like that. Now it's working. So let's go ahead in the browser. You can see we got 3 boxes here. Now for this project, I'll be using the Flexbox all the time. So let me show you some basics of Flexbox. But if you already know the Flexbox, let me refresh your mind. So let's go ahead, and here I'll say this container will be a display of Flex like this. And if you save this and go back, you can see they are in a row because the Flex direction is as default a row, so it is a vertical direction and not horizontal. So let's go ahead, change this direction. So I'll say here the Flex direction like this. Now not Flex, so Flex direction, and then we can define which direction we want. I'll say it will be column. Now let's save it And as you see, we got everything in a column. Now for each box, instead of some width, we can use the flex also. So let's go ahead, and here instead of this width of 200 pixel, I'll say it's a flex and it will be 1. And I'll be using the same thing for the others. So here also, and then we got it here like this. Save it, and as you see, we got all the screen divided equally. Now let's go ahead and use the other direction. So here I'll say it will be row, or maybe row reverse, which will reverse everything. So it's starting from blue, green to red instead of red, green, blue. Let me remove this so you can see the difference. I'll say just row and save it. And if we go back, you see it's red, green, blue. So this way we can change the direction also. So now let's go and see how to not repeat ourselves with these boxes here, because we are using the same CSS everywhere, and that's not a good idea. So for this, styled components has a good way. So for that, I'll go here instead of this color. So here of red, I'll say some props, just like React we do. We can use the props here in styled components also. So here I'll say $, curly braces, and inside this we'll define props and then an arrow. So it will be an arrow function, and then I'll say props dot, and then we can call the name of this. So I'll say it is BG color, for example. So now let's save this, and after this we can use this background color anywhere instead of repeating them. So let's remove these two, and also from here. Now here inside of box 1, I'll say BG color. So the BG color of this, and here we can define the color we want. So the first one was red, so I'll say it's a red. Now let's save this, and if you go back, it's a red color here. Now let's use this again. So I'll copy the same box 2 times, and then I'll say here it should be green color, and the last one should be a blue color. Let's save this, and if you go back, you can see we got same result by typing just one component. So this way we can use the props inside styled components. Now let me show you how to make this simpler. For example, instead of this props and props.bg color, we could use everything just like React. So here I'll say bg color, and then I'll remove this props from here also. So this way it will work exactly the same. Let me save this, and if we go back, you can see we got no difference here, but our syntax here is much clearer now. So it's up to you how you want to use it, with props or just the prop names like this. So now let's see what else we can do. Now inside our index.html, if I go here, and you see there's a body tag, head tag, and also there's HTML tag. And here we got this body tag. And here I can define some CSS directly using style for this body. Or we could use inside the style element here inside our head. So I could say this is style, and then inside this I would type body, and here I'll say the background color of this should be something like aqua. So if we save this, now this property will assign globally to all of our body component. Now let's go ahead and see the result. Now as you see, we are overriding this, but here on the corner you can see this aqua color also. Now let's remove this color from here. So inside our container, because we are using 100 VH, it's covering everything. So let me remove this from here and save it. And if we go back, you can see we got that color which we have defined inside our body tag. So which means this way we can define some global CSS to our HTML tags. But in styled components, we got a better way of using that. So I'll just remove this from here like this and save it. And if you go back, we got no color here. Now I'll go inside app.js, and here we will import. So import the global styles. So it will be create global style. So it's already here from styled components. And then we can use that, of course, here. So I'll say const, and I'll say, you can name it anything you want. I'll say it is global style. So global styles is equal to create global style. And here we can use the backticks, and inside this we can use the global CSS as we did here inside our style. So here I can say body, and then the same way as we did before, and I'll say the background color of this should be something like red. Now let's save this, and we'll be using this global styles. So before everything, so now here we can use that global styles. So I'll be using that here and just close this like this. And we get some error because we are not wrapping everything. So here, let me cover this inside the reactive fragment. So I'll just cut this one and I'll paste it here. Now there are some shortcuts to use everything very easily, but as this course is for beginners, that's why I'm using everything just as a beginner do. So let's save this. And after that, if we go back, you can see we got that red background color. Let me change the background color. So here I'll say it will be something like yellow, like this. Save it, and if you go back, the background color is yellow. So this means everything which we use globally inside our index.html, so the CSS styles or fonts, we can use them just inside our app.js or anywhere we want using this create global style of styled components. For example, now let me remove this box from here, and instead of this box, let's make some title. So to write something. Now here I'll say const, and I'll call this also title. So just to see the difference. Now this one will be also styled like that, and dot, and this one will be some h1. And then of course we need the backticks inside which we can define some CSS. But here I want to use just a normal h1 and don't want to specify any kind of CSS. So let me use the title. So I'll go back here, and here I'll paste the title and close this. Now inside this I'll say, for example, styled components like this. And now I'll save it. And if we go to browser, we should see everything, but the reason we are not seeing is that the color of the text is black and also this background is black. So let's remove all those backgrounds also because you're looking not good. So here I'll say this will be white, and also this should be white like this. Now save it, we can see our h1. So now for this project I'll be using the Roboto font from Google Fonts. So I'll say here Google Fonts like this, and it should be Roboto. As you see, Roboto is here. I'll click on it, and after this I'll click on Roboto Google Fonts. And inside this you can see the design which you want to use. So to use these fonts, you can go ahead and copy this link from here. I have already copied this one, so let me just paste it inside my project. Now I'll go here and inside this body where we want to use that, so I'll paste it here. So it is this one. And after this, how to use this, it's also defined here. So we'll define font family Roboto, and it is sans serif. So I'll copy this one from here, and I'll go back here. So I'll be using this font for everything inside my project. So that's why I'll use asterisk, and inside these curly braces, I'll paste that CSS. So it's font family Roboto sans serif, and save it. And if we go back here, you can see the font style is already changed for us. So let's see what else we can do with styled components. Now, as I said, in this project, we'll be using the dark mode also. So let's go ahead and learn how to use the theme inside styled components. For this, I'll go ahead just here. I'll say import. What I want to import? I want to import the theme provider. So it's called theme provider, and it will be imported from styled components like this. And now we can use this theme provider to use a specific theme for our components. So let me show you what I mean. Now I'll save this and I'll come here. So before globals, so here I'll be using the theme provider. Let me paste this, and of course we need to close this. Now I can wrap everything inside this theme provider. So like this. If I wanted to use the theme provider just for title, I would cover just the title with theme provider. But for now, I want to use this theme for every component inside my project. So that's why I'm covering everything here. And now let's define the theme which we want to use for our project. For this, we'll be creating an object here. So I'll go ahead after this title, I'll create my theme. So I'll say const theme like this is equal to. Now here we can define how we want to use our theme. So I'll open the curly braces, and inside this we can use the keys of our CSS. For example, if I have many colors I want to use in this project, so I'll create an object of colors. So I'll say colors. So the key for this, I'll say it will be a primary and also a value for that. Now the value of this, I'll say it is dark blue, for example, like this. And then we'll be using another one, so it will be just a comma. And after this, I'll say the secondary color. So the secondary color of this project will be, for example, tomato, like that. And I can save it, tomato, save it. And after that, we can use those colors inside our project. Now let me show you how to do this. Now here, for example, inside our title, so it's title 1, I want to use this secondary color for this. So here I'll say the color of this title will be, instead of defining that color, for example, I could type here tomato and it worked the same way, but here I'll say instead of tomato, I'll be using the theme. So here I'll say dollar like this, and I open curly braces, then we use an callback function. So I'll say props, and then the props should be props.theme. So the same way we have used the props, here we will be using the theme. So .theme dot, and here we define the color name. Now it's inside our object of colors, so that's why I say .colors dot, and then we can define which of these colors we want to use. So inside the colors, I want to use the secondary. So I'll say secondary and save it. So now before seeing the result, let me use this theme inside my theme provider. So here I'll say as prop, theme is equal to this theme object which I have created here. Now let's save this, and if we go back, you can see we got this tomato color. So now it is assigned globally, which means if later on I need to change my secondary color to something else, for example red, if I save this, it will change the color here also. So I can use this color, so I'll be using this color for something else also. For example, for some description. Now I'll copy this one and I'll paste it here, and I'll create a description component. So I'll call this just desk, and it will be a p tag, and the color of this will be also secondary. So let me use the desk. So here after this title, I'll be using the desk component or description, and there we will type some random text here. So let's save this, and if we go back, you can see we got that text with the red color. Now if I go ahead and change my color inside my theme, so here I'll say it will be blue. Now if we go back, it is changed in both of them. So which means we can use the same thing for dark mode. For example, now here, let me copy this one from here. I just copy it and use it inside my body. So instead of this white here, I'll define the color which I want to use. So here I'll say the background color was, for example the primary, so dark blue. Now let me make some default color, so I'll say default, and this should be white, so like this, and I'll be using this default here inside my background color. So I'll say here let's default. Now if we go back, we see no changes, but later on I want to change this to dark color. So what will I do? I'll go ahead here and change the color to black, for example. Let's save it, and if we go back, you can see the background is black here. So the same way we could use for other components also. Now as we understand the theme provider, the global styles, and also how to use everything with styled components, let's go ahead and start developing our website. So now here I don't need this title and description, I'll just remove them, and also the theme, so it will be later. So for now I'll just remove it from here. I'll let the global styles here because I need it. The container will be there. I'll just remove these two from here, and inside this container we will define all of our components. So here also let me remove this display flex and flex direction, and here I'll say the height of this should be, for example, a full screen. So I'll save it, and if we go back, we can see everything as normal. So let's start designing this website by its navbar. So for this I'll go back to my VS Code, and here I'll just close this index.html. We don't need this anymore. So now here inside my source folder I'll create another folder, and as usual I'll call this components, and inside this we will create all the React related components. So the first component of our project will be navbar, so that's why I'll create a new folder and call this navbar. Inside the navbar folder, of course, we need our React component, so I'll say here navbar.jsx. You can use JS or JSX, it all depends to you, but I use JSX because it makes it easier to work with all those HTML elements. So I'll say enter, and here we will create our React component. Now as we have installed this extension of React, which is here, so we can type easily RAFCE and press enter. You can see the component is created for us, so we don't need to do anything. So now let's save this, and I'll import this inside my app.js. Now after this globals, we have our container. So inside this container I'll import my navbar. So I can just type navbar here, and VS Code will import this for me. As you see, it's coming from .components folder, inside navbar folder, and navbar.jsx. Now as I click on it, you can see it's imported for us. Now let's go ahead and close this. So I'll just close this like that and save it. Now if we go back, now here we can't see anything because inside our app.js we are using this theme which we don't have anymore. So let's remove this from here, and instead of this I'll just give it a background color of white. Save it, and if we go back, you can see the navbar is here. Now let's design our navbar. For this I'll go to navbar.jsx, and inside this we will start designing. So what are we using? We are using the styled from styled components. So here first of all I'll create all the components which I need for this navbar. So the first one will be for me the container. So I'll say const container, and this will be equal to, we have learned how to use styled components, so I'll just type styled, and as you see the VS Code can import this for me. So if I click on it, you can see it's imported. Now it will be a div, so .dev backticks, and inside this we define some CSS. So for navbar it's nothing fancy, so here I'll say it will be a width of 100%, so, and also height of just, for example, 10%, like this. Let me give it a background color so you can see everything. So I'll say background color, and let's give it this a light blue, so like this. And then we divide the navbar in 3 more components. So the first one will be the component from left where we put our logo. So I'll say left is equal to styled dot div, and here inside this we define our CSS, but for now I'll let this just like that and I'll copy this for the others. So we'll be using 3 of them. So we need for center where we will put our menu, and then for the right where we will put our button. So that's it. Now let's save it. So now let's go ahead and use them. So here I'll press Ctrl D so we can use both of them. So here I'll be using the container, and inside this container we'll be using all 3 this components. So here I'll say left and just close this, and then we need for the center the same way. So I'll say center like this and close it, and then we need for the right one, so like this and close this, and they are here. So let's put some text inside them so we can see everything. Right or left, and then center, and then here will be right, like this. Save it, and if you go back you can see they are here, but as you see they are aligned vertically, but what we need is a display of horizontally. So let's see how to do this. So for this, inside my container I'll say the display of this container will be flex, like this, and if I save it, if we go back you can see they are aligned as we want. So now to give them a good spacing between each other, I'll say justify content, and this will be a space between. So space between, save it, and if we go back you can see they are aligned as we want. But here as you see they are not aligned center, so I want to align them just center here. So for this I'll say align items, so we're using everything from flex, so I'll say align items center, and if we go back you can see they are aligned as we want. So now let's bring everything inside them so we can see everything better. The left one will be the logo. So for this I'll create another const and I'll call this logo. So let's go ahead and do this. Const logo, so as the name says, and then it will be styled, so dot, here I'll be using the h1 tag, so h1, and then we need the backtick, and inside this I'll put some CSS. So the font size of this will be something like 20 pixel, and then we need the text decoration, so I'll give it some underline so it will look a little beautiful, and then we'll be using the color. So here the color of this will be, for example, dark blue, like this, and then I'll say the cursor will be pointer because it will be clickable, and then we have to use this. So let's copy this one inside the left. Here I'll just paste it, so I'll paste it here, the logo, and inside this of course we need to type some text, so the logo is closed. Now here I'll say it is IT support, something like this. Now let's save this, and if we go back you can see we got a logo. Of course you can use an image here, but for me it's fine just like that for now. So let's go ahead and take care of the menu. So here I'll say const menu, and this will be equal to styled. So what do we want to style? We want to style the UL like this, and we'll use the backtick here of course, and the same way we'll be using for the menu item. So let me copy this one, and here I'll say it will be list, and also I'll call this menu item like this. So we got our UL and LI, so let's use them. So now here inside the center we'll be using the menu, so menu, and let's close this one, and inside this menu we'll be using the menu item. So here I'll say menu item like this, and for each menu item we will have a name. So first of all I'll just type home, So let me copy this for the others also. So here home, and then we'll be using for about us. So about us, and also we need for services like this. You can use any names you want, it's just example. So contact, and of course we need one more, and I'll say here it will be our blog like this, and then we save it. Now let's go ahead and see the result first. Now as you see, we got our list, so let's give it some styling. For this, first of all, for the menu we need the display of flex because they are horizontal, but we want to show them vertical. So here I'll say the display of this will be flex. And also as you see here, we got these dots here, so let's remove them also. For this I'll say list style, and this will be none like this, and save it. And if we go back, you see everything is looking as we want. So now let's go ahead and design our list items. So they are here. Now inside this we'll be using some CSS, of course. So here I'll say font size, and the font size of this will be something like 20 pixel. And also for the font weight, I'll say font weight of this will be bold like that, and let's save this. And if we go back, you can see everything is looking beautiful, but here there's no space between them. For this, let's go ahead and give them some margin. So I'll say margin right, and this will be something like 30 pixel like this. Let's save this, and as you see, it's looking great. Now the color of this I want to gray, so I'll say here the color of them will be gray like this, and save it. Now if we go back, you can see it's looking beautiful, but as we hover on them there's no pointer, so let's do this also. So here I'll say the cursor will be pointer like this, save it, and if we go back, you see we can click them. Now also to hover them, I want to change its color, so let's go ahead and do this also. So here also we can define the hover. So I'll say in hover, just like we do in Material UI and also in other CSS. So here we can define the hover. So in hover, the color of this should be dark blue, for example. Now dark blue, and save it. And if we go back, if we hover them, you can see it's dark blue. Now perfect. And here we need the button, so let's design our button also. So now we'll create another const, and we'll call this button. So here I'll say const, and its name will be button. So button like this, and styled dot, it will be a button, of course. So button, and here we'll be using the backtick and some styling. So again, font weight of bold, so like this. And what we need a background color for this. So background color of this will be dark blue, and then we'll be using some border. So let me define some border. I'll say 2 pixel of solid, and the color of that will be white. And then I'll say the cursor of this will be pointer. Let me save this, and let's use this. So it will be inside the right. So instead of this right here, I'll be using the button. So button, and I'll close this, and we give some name for the button. So what's the button name? Here I'll say call us now. So you can call it anything you want. I'll say call us now like this, and save it. And let's go ahead and see the result. And as you see, there's a button, there's some text, but the text is black, that's why we can't see anything. So let's go ahead and change its CSS. So I'll go ahead inside the button, and here I'll say color of this will be white like this, and save it. And let's go ahead, and you see we got this button here. But let me give this some padding so it will look better. So here I'll say the padding of 10 pixel and 10 pixel like this, save it. And if you go back, you can see it's looking beautiful now. So let's go ahead and design it further. So now I'll say the border radius because I want to give this a rounded shape. So I'll say border radius, and here I'll say something like 10 pixel. You can use any how you want, and I'll save it like this. And if you go back, you can see it's looking just as we want. So now let's create the hover on this, because if we hover on it, it should just remove this background color from here. So for this, I'll go ahead and here and say again in hover. So it should do something for me. So in hover, and here I'll say background color of this should be a light blue like this, and also the color of this should be black or maybe dark blue like this. And then we need to change the border also. So here I'll say border again 2 pixel solid, but the color will be changed, so solid, and this time I'll be using the dark blue again. So let's save this, and if we go back and if we hover this, you can see the background color is a less blue, and also we got the text and the border color of dark blue. So it's looking beautiful. Now for the background color of this navbar, let me change this to white because it's not looking good. So here I'll say the background color, I say just white like this, and save it. And if we go back, now as you see, everything is looking as we want. So now before designing this further, let's go ahead and create our hero or information section here. So for this, I'll go back here inside VS Code. So here inside my components folder, I'll create another folder and I'll call this hero. You can call this anything you want. So I'll call this just hero, and I'll create my component. So hero.jsx like this. And then we'll create our component. So rfce and save it. And after this, I'll import this the same way here below this navbar. So here I'll say it will be hero. So import the hero for me. Now as you see, it's imported. Save it. And if we go back, you can see the hero is here. Now let's just start designing our hero. So for this, I'll just close the navbar first. So here for the hero, also the same way we need some container and also left and right container. So I'll say here const container the same way as before. And it will be styled. So let's import the styled from styled components, and it will be of course div. So inside this div, we'll be using backtick, and here we'll be using our CSS. So I'll say the display of this, first of all, we need flex and also a height. So I'll give it a height. So as the height of our navbar is 10% here, so we'll be giving the height of this 90%. So we don't cover that navbar like this. And that's it for the container. And then we need the const of left again. So it will be our left side, and it will be styled and dot. This also div like this. So here we will define some CSS. For now, I leave it just like that and copy this one for the others. So here we'll be using the right one also. So the right is here. So now let's use them. Now here, instead of this div, I'll say Command D or Control D. So here I'll say my component name, which is the container, like this. And inside the container, I'll be using the left and right container. So here I'll say left. You can call this anything you want, but here left and right is enough, I think. So I'll say left and right. So let me type some text here. Left, and here it will be right like this. And let's put some height and width for them. So here I'll say height of 10% and also width of 10%. So we can see just the result like this. And also for the other one will be the same thing. And we need some color so we can see the difference. So background color of not white, but here I'll say red. And also here the background color will be something like blue, like this, save it, and as we go back you can see we got two containers. So let's design them also. Now here for the left side I want to use my all text and information, and in the right side I want to put an image. So for the left side we need more space, so that's why I'll say the width of this will be 60%, and also for the right side I'll say the width of this is the rest, which is 40%. And let me put the percentage sign here. So 60% and 40%, otherwise it won't work. So let's go ahead. Now as you see the result is as we want. So let's start designing them. Now first of all, for our left container we'll need some text, so some title and description. So here I'll say first of all I need a title, so I'll say const, and I'll call this title as will be styled dot, and this will be an h1 element like this, and inside this I'll say the width of this so will be something like 60%, so it will cover everything here. And then we got some font size, so the font size I'll say here it will be big, it's a title, so let's make this 40 pixel, and also the font weight will be bold, so font weight is bold like this. And then we have to define some color, so the color will be dark blue. So let's save this for this one, and we'll be using the same thing for description. So here I'll say const, and this will be description like this, and this will be equal to styled dot, and this will be a paragraph, so that's why p tag, and inside this we will give this some css also. So here I'll say font size of this, so as it's a paragraph we don't need very large font, so here I'll say it will be just 20 pixel like that. And then we need the color, so the color, not code, so color of this will be gray, so it will look like a paragraph. But let's save this and see the result. Now we are not using them, so let's go ahead and use them first. So here it's inside left, so the first one, title like this, and here for the title we'll need some text. Let me paste some text here instead of typing it, so it's here. And then we use the description, so below the title we'll be using the description also. So description, and close this, and here I'll be using lorem ipsum, so I'll just type lorem and press enter and save it. Now it's here, the prettier did the job for me. So let's go ahead and see the result. Now as you see we got everything as we want, but as we defined the height of 10% for this div, that's why it's looking like this. So let's remove this so it covers everything. So here the height of this was 10%. Let's remove this from here, save this, and if we go back you can see it's covered, and also the background color is white, so I'll say it will be white and not red anymore. Let's do the same thing for the right container also, so height remove, and here the background color of this will be also white like that. And if we go back you can see we got our text and everything as we want, but our texts are not aligned center, and also they are not looking like a title or a hero. So let's design this. So for that I'll go to left, and here I'll say the display of this should be flex. So now if I save this, the display of this will be a row, and that's what we don't want. So let's go ahead and say the direction of this should be display, or flex direction should be a column, so column. And also we'll say that justify the content as center, so they will be aligned center. Now as you see we got all the contents aligned center for us, and here we'll be using also align items center, so align items, and I'll say it's center and save this. And if we go back, you can see everything is looking beautiful. But here, as you see, the text is not aligned center, so it's not looking good. And also the description, the same way, it's getting 100% of it, which is not looking good. So let's go ahead and take care of this. So for the title, I'll say here, text align of this should be center. And for the description, we'll define a width. So the width of this will be 70%. Save it. And if we go back, you can see it's looking nice. But here you can see there's more gap here between these two elements. And the reason of this is we are using the h1 tag here from HTML. So let's use this as div. So let's save this and you will see that there's not that gap anymore. Now it's looking beautiful. And also from the top, we got not that much gap as before. So it's looking great here for me. Now let's go ahead and take care of the image here. So now to use the images, I have to import some images here. So for this, I'll just grab some images from my computer. So I'll go ahead and bring some images. So the images folder is here. I'll put this inside my source folder. So as you see, we got all the images which we can use inside this project. So you can do the same thing, create a folder or just drag and drop some images which you want to use for your project. So here, let's go ahead inside our right container. Now here, as you see, we got the width of 40% and background color of white. But inside this, I want to use an image. So that's why I'll be using a const of image here. So here I'll say const image, and this will be styled. What we want to style? We want to style the image. So that's why I'll say image, and then we define the backtext here. And now for the image, we'll be using a width. So I'll say width of, for example, 500 pixel, like this. And that's enough, I think, for this one. Now let's use this image. So I'll say use this inside the right here. So here I'll paste it like that, and it will be a self-closing tag. So, and inside this, of course, as its image, we can use the source parameter like this. And we need to import the image. So I'll say here import, and I'll call this info image or hero image will be better. So hero image like this, and this should come from my folder of images. So here I'll say dot dot backslash, so I go out of my current folder and then again out of that folder, then inside images, and here I have an image which is called hero.png. So I'll be using this one. Now let's copy this, and here as we are using React, so we need to use the curly braces, and here I'll paste that hero image. Now let's save this, and if we go back, you can see this beautiful images here. But as you see, it's not aligned center, so we know the game. So let's go ahead inside the image or inside the right container, and here I'll say the display of this will be just flex, and also I'll say here align items center. So this will center everything for us. So now as you see, everything is aligned center and it's looking as we want. But here as you see, the nav bar is not looking good because everything is here centered, but our button and logos are aligned wide away from them. So let's go ahead and bring them also to center. Now for this, I'll go back to VS Code, and here inside the navbar.jsx, we have to create some changes. First of all, I want to give some padding from left and right for this button so it will look much better. So I'll go ahead here and I'll say the padding of left and right should be 20 pixels and not just 10. Save it, and if you go back, you can see it's looking much better now. Now for the containers, so there's one left and right. So let's make some changes here also. First of all, here I'll say the display of this should be flex like this, and then we can justify the content of that, so space around, and I'll say the flex of this will be 1, so flex of 1, and also I'll give it align items center. And if I save it and if we go back, as you see, it's aligned center, but it's pushing them all the way to right because they have no flex or no specified width for them. So that's why let's go ahead inside the center, and here we have to create some changes. And as it's the menu, so I'll say here the flex of this should be 2, so it will be 2 times wider than the left container, like that. And also here I'll say the display of this should be also flex, so the display of this should be flex, like that, and save it. And if we go back, you can see it's aligned beautifully in the center. Now let's take care of this button here. So for this we'll go to right container, and here we'll create some CSS also. So here again I'll say the flex of this will be 1, and then I'll say the display of this should be flex, like this, and also align items center, and then justify content, it should be again a space around, like this. And if I save it and if we go back, you can see it's also aligned center, and we got a good gap from the right and also here from the left. Now everything is looking beautiful with our navbar. Perfect. Now let's take care of those 2 buttons here which we want to show. So for this I'll go back to hero, and inside this I'll create another container. So this container will be for the buttons. So I'll say const buttons container, like this. You can call this of course anything you want, and there it will be also styled, and style.dev of course, and then here we will say the display of this will be flex, so like that. So we get everything horizontally and not vertically. And then after this we'll create our button. So I'll say const button, and this will be equal to styled.dev or .button here. So .button, and then our backtick, and here we can define our CSS now. So here I'll say font width bold, and also I'll define a color of white, so like this, and I'll give it a background color. So the background color of this will be also white, like this. And also for this I'll give some padding, so the padding from top and bottom 20 pixel, and from left and right it will be 50 pixel, like this. Now let's see the result. So buttons container, I'll be using this below this description here. So now here I'll say buttons container, like this, and inside this we'll be using our button. So here I'll define my buttons, so button, and I'll call this about us, like that. And also let me copy this for the other button. So here it will be contact us, so contact us, like this, and save it. So now we can't see anything because I have defined the color of white for them. So the background color should be dark blue, so it will be dark blue, and save it. And if we go back, as you see, we got our buttons, but it's looking too big here. So let's make some changes. So the padding will be from left and right 30 pixel maybe, and also from the bottom and top it should be something like 50 pixel. Let's save it, and if we go back, now they are looking beautiful. Now let's take care of the hover. So if we hover on them, it should give some animation here. So for this I'll go back here, and then here first of all I'll say the cursor of this should be pointer. So cursor, and this will be pointer, like this, and then we will be using the hover of course. Now before covering the hover, I gave it some border because if someone hover on this, we should see the border also. So I'll say the border of this will be something like 2 pixel solid, and we will define a color here. Here it will be dark blue again. And then after this I'll say a border radius, So it will look a good rounded button here. So border radius, and it will be just 10 pixel. And then for that hover transition, we need a background, and this time the background will be linear gradient. So linear gradient, and then inside this we will define our to right and to left. So I'll say to right like this, just to right here. So here to right I'll say it will be a nice blue, and then it will be 50%. And the background color this time will be something like dark blue. So dark blue, and this will be also 50%. So we will cover just the 100% of that like this. And of course, to get that transition we have to define the background size also. So I'll give it background size, not color. So background size here, and the background size of this will be 200% and 100% like this. And also we need the background position, so let me give it the background position also. So it will be from right and from bottom. You can define it from top or left, whatever you want. So here I'll say the transition now for that background. So transition, and it will be all, and then I'll say it will be 0.5 second. You can make it faster or slower, but 0.5 seconds is I think enough here. Then it will be is and out, so like this. And then finally we define our hover. So I'll say here and hover, and here we will change first of all the color. So the color of this time will be dark blue. So the text color will be dark blue because it is white here like that. And then also the border, so let's give it a border of 2 pixel solid, and the color of this will be blue like this. And then we need the background position again. So I'll say background position like this, and this time it will be left and bottom. So it was right and bottom, so it will go back to left and bottom like this. And the cursor of course this time will be also pointer like that. And save it, and let's go back, and as we hover them you can see we got this beautiful animation here. But as you see we got no padding between them, so let's give it some margin right or margin left. So I'll give it some margin left to the button here. So here after this background color I'll say margin left, so margin left like this, and this will be something like 5 pixel or yeah, whatever you want. Now let's see. Now it's looking beautiful. If we hover you can see we got those beautiful animations. Perfect, we got everything as we want. So now let's take care of the other section here, in which we define our services and cite some cards. So for this I'll go back to VS Code, and here let me close these two because we don't need them anymore like that. And here inside the components I'll create another folder, and I'll call this something like info boxes like that, info boxes. And the same name will be for our React file, so it will be info boxes like that .jsx this time. Perfect. And now here our AFCE for the React, and then we have to import this of course inside our app. So I'll import this after hero here, so it will be info boxes. So it's here and it's imported for us. Save it, and if we go back we should see the info boxes here. So let's go back and design the info boxes here. So here I'll say first of all for our text, in which we'll write our services and some more information. For this I'll need a container, so I'll say const container, and this will be equal to styled, of course. So a style component is imported. Now here I'll say it's a div, and then we'll be using our backticks, and inside this I'll say the display of this, as always, flex, and also to justify content, so it will be center like that. And also I'll say align items, it will be center like that. And let's save this. And also we need some title, so I'll say const title, and this will be something styled dot div, so like that. And here I'll say the color of this, just it will be dark blue or dark magenta, no, so dark blue is better. And then after that we need some description or some subtitle, yeah. So I'll say here const subtitle, so I'll say it's styled dot div. Again, we can use also h1 or h3, but it will give some more margin padding from top and bottom, so that's why I'm using div here also. So now here I'll say the font width of this will be bold, and the font size, so it will be big, so I'll say it will be 50 pixel, and also some margin, so the margin of 5 pixel. So, and also I'll say the color of this, also something like tomato, so like that. And let's save it and let's use them. Now here I'll say Command D or Control D, and I'll type container. Now inside the container we'll be using the title, so title here like this. So here for the title I'll say what we provide, so what we provide, or you can say anything you want. So after this I'll be using the subtitle, so subtitle, and this will be something like our services, so our services. Let's save it and see the result. So let's go ahead, and as you see we got what you provide and our services, but I have changed the colors, so this should be blue and this one should be tomato, and also they should be aligned vertically and not horizontally. So let's take care of that. So here I'll say the container, so here for this I'll say the flex direction will be column like that, and also here we change the colors, so it will be tomato, and this one will be dark blue like this. Save it, and if we go back you can see what we provide our services. Now it's looking beautiful here, but we will be using this all the time for the other sections also. So instead of copy and pasting that, let's go ahead and use this as extra component. So I'll go here and I'll create another component. Here I'll say info text, so info text or text banner, maybe something like that. So the text banner, and of course the JSX file we need here, so text banner dot JSX like this, and we'll copy everything from here. So let me just copy everything from here and cut it, so paste it here. Now we have to change the name of that info boxes to text banner like this, so text banner, and we have to export this of course. So here this will be exported. So now here instead of this what we provide, we'll be using some props. So here I'll say title like this, and remember don't use the capital letter, otherwise you will get some problem because our component is also called title. So that's why I'm using the lowercase here. So here for our services also I'll say it will be my subtitle. So here again it will be subtitle, but it will be also in lowercase and not uppercase, so like that. And let's save this, and if we go back here we have to create our React component. So now instead of this info boxes, here I'll be using the text banner. So let's import this, so text banner, and it's imported. Now let's close this, and here we got two props. So the first one was title, like this, and the title was what we provide. So let's type this here, what we provide, like this, and also our subtitle, so like this, and this should be like our services. So save it, and if we go back, we can't see anything. So let's see what's wrong here. Inside the text banner, oh, I forgot to pass them as prop. So here I'll say it's title and also subtitle, like this. And also I got a typo here, I think, inside info boxes, which is subtitle. It will be all in lowercase. So let's save this, and if we go back, as you see, we got everything as before, but now we can use this component anywhere we want. So let's close this one. So now let's go ahead and design our cards. So now I'll say here, first of all, I'll be using a container for our cards. So I'll say const container, and this is equal to styled, like this, and also it will be a div. So div, and then here we will be using our CSS. So the display of this will be flex, and also here I'll say the justify content will be just center. So now of course we can create our card here inside this info boxes, but as we will be using those cards everywhere, so let's do it in a better way. So style components gives us more possibilities, so let's go ahead and use this. So now here I'll create another folder inside my components, and I'll call this styles. So inside this styles, I'll create another file, but this time I'll call this styled.cards. So inside this style.card.js or JSX, so we will be using all the components related to that card, and then we can export that. So let me show you what I mean. Now I'll create this, and here first of all I'll say here it will be const. So here we don't need anything from React because we are using just the styled components here. So here I'll say const card is equal to styled, like this, and styled components imported for us. So here I'll say it will be a div, and inside this div we will define everything related to our card. So I'll say the width of this first of all. So the width will be something like 350 pixel, like this, and also I'll give it some margin. So from top and bottom it will be 10 pixel, and from left and right also something like 10 pixel. So for now I'll save it like that, and then we need another const. So we'll be using also some title and also some card content here. So I'll say here it will be card content, so like that, and this will be styled dot div. So, and then we will define here the display of this flex, and also we'll say the justify content center, and also flex direction, or maybe align items. It will be also center because we want everything to be centered here. And the padding of this will be something like 10 pixel from everywhere. And after this we need some title. So I'll say here const and card title this time, and this should be styled dot div again. So, and here I'll say the card title, it will have some color just, and the color of this will be dark blue, so something like that. And then we will be using the const description, so for our description of the card, so like this, and this will be styled, so dot div, like that. And here I'll say again the color of this will be something like gray because it's paragraph, and also font size, so let's give this something like maybe 15 pixel. And also I'll say the text align of this should be from center like that. And then for the card we need some button, so I'll say const so button, and here the const button will be a styled dot a, so it will be an anchor tag like that. And here I'll say the color of this time will be something like red, and also let's give it some font weight, so font weight bold. And I think that's enough, so let's use them. Now to use them we'll be exporting them, so I can export them as default and also export them just like this. So I'll say just export const card, and we'll be exporting everyone here export, again export this one also, and the button will be exported also. So everything is available. Let's save this. Now inside our info boxes we will import everything here. So inside the container, now below this I'll be using this container from here, so container, I'll close this, and inside this I'll be using the card. So let me use the card, and here it will be card, and it will be imported from import card styled components style.card, which is here. And of course here we need the card content, so let's import those also. So I'll say card content, we need card title, and we need the description, so it's here, and we got button, so button also. Let's import them and we can use them now here. So I'll close the card, and inside this we'll have some card content, so card content, and inside this card content we'll be using card title, so card title, so it will be card title like this, and here we will give it some title, but for now I'll say just title. And then we'll be using some description, so description, and here I'll use the lorem again, and that's enough I think. So let's go back, and after this we'll be using our buttons, so the button like this, and here I'll say read more like that. Let's save this and see the result. So as you see they are here, but for these card contents the display of this should be column and not row. So let's go ahead, and inside the style cards here for the card content we'll say the flex direction here will be column like this. Let's save it, and as you see we got everything on top of each other, but it's not looking like a card. So the reason is we are not using any kind of shadow here. So for this I'll go to browser and I'll say box shadow, so like that, CSS generator, and here you can generate any kind of box shadow you want. Now as you see, as for the card you can minimize it, you can maximize it, or whatever you want. So how do you want your card? You can just add everything and then copy this CSS from here, and you can use this inside your card. So here after this margin I'll paste it here, just save it, and if you go back, so here as you see it's already looking beautiful just like a card. But for this read more button, let's give it some margin from the top. It's not looking good here, so I'll go ahead and style.card and inside the const button, so here I'll say margin top, so margin top of something like 30 pixel like this, not 0 but 30 pixel like that. And as you see it's now looking very beautiful. Let's say also the cursor to pointer here, so I say cursor, just pointer, save it, and now it's also clickable. Perfect. So here now we can repeat these cards, but instead of this let me paste some code to save our time. So here I'll go inside info boxes, and instead of this card, so let me remove this from here, I'll paste some more cards here. So it's just the same way we are using the card content and card title description, but I have defined some names and also some lorem ipsum text here. So it is just the same thing, but with some new texts here. So let's save this. And if we go back, as you see, we got more beautiful cards here. But they are also aligned as row. So let's take care of that also. And also this title is looking very small. So I'll give it some h1 or h3 tag here. So inside style.cards. So here inside card title, instead of this div, I'll be using some h3. So now as you see, it's looking more beautiful. And also to align them center, we got some more flex CSS. So I'll go inside info boxes, and here inside the container, I'll say flex wrap. So it will be wrap like this and save it. So now as you see, it's looking beautiful because the flex wrap uses just the width which is available for it. And if there's no width here, it will just break down and bring the other cards or other contents below of that row. So here now if I decrease the size of the browser, you can see it just adjusts itself as we want. So it's already responsive. Perfect. But for this box shadows, it's not looking that good for me because I have already played with them here and created a good box shadow. So I'll just paste that one here. So inside style.cards, and instead of this one here, I'll be using mine. So it will be just the same thing, but the color of this will be something like pink. So it's a light pink like that, and also light gray. So let's save this, and then as you see, it's looking much better instead of that black color here for the shadow. And also if we hover on these cards, you see nothing happens. So let's apply the same animation from here to these cards also. So for this, it's just easy. We will go to our hero, and inside the hero.jsx we got our buttons, and here we can copy everything from here. So from this background linear gradient to the hover. So I'll copy everything and I'll go ahead here inside my card and I'll just paste it here, save it. And if we go back, and as you see, if we hover this, we got the same hover as here, but this blue color is not looking good. So let's change this. So here inside the hover, I'll remove this border from here, and also the color of this will be snow, and also this dark blue will be snow because that's the background color here. So let's save this, and as we hover this, you can see we got a beautiful animation with a great color of Alice blue. Of course, you can change the colors here as you want. So it's Alice blue. You can define any other color you want. So for me, it's fine like that. But there's one more problem, because we are using here the static colors for this dark blue, for example, or for the button, and also for these cards here. So later on, if we start creating our theme for the dark mode, this will create some problem for us. So let's go ahead and use the theme provider instead of using all the static colors here. So I'll go back here inside app.js, and here I'll say theme provider. So it's already here. Now let's use this. So I'll cover everything from here to theme provider. So I'll just use this one here. And also let's create the theme. So we know how to create that. So here I'll say const theme. You can call it anything you want. So inside this I'll say colors. So, and the colors we want to define, it will be an object of colors. So here I'll say for our primary color, it should be something like dark blue, like that. And then for our secondary, I'll say secondary color of this will be something like tomato or whatever you want. But instead of typing everything, let me paste some code here because it will just save our time. So here I have already created. So for primary color, I am using the dark blue. For secondary color, the tomato. And for the light color, I'll be using the black. For text, I'm using the snow color, and we get some text dark, which is our paragraph and etc. For that, I'm using the gray color. And then I have defined some background colors. So BG default will be white, and BG primary will be dark blue, and the secondary is also dark blue. So let's remove this, because if you're using some primary, we don't need this as secondary. And then background light will be a light blue, something like that. So you can use any colors you want, but I'll be using this color palette here. So let me use this theme now inside my theme provider. So I'll say theme is equal to our theme here, which is here, like that. Let's save this, and we should see no error. But now we have a possibility to use all those color inside our boxes. So let's start by navbar. So here, first of all, we got a background color of white for navbar. Now instead of this, I'll be using this background color of default, which is also white. So let's go ahead and change this. Now here, I'll say props. Now as usual, we are using the props. So here I'll define the $sign and then curly braces, and I'll say callback function, which is props, and it will be arrow. And here I'll say props dot theme. So and dot from theme we need the colors. So colors, and then from the colors the background default, which is called BG default, like this. It should use that color. Now let's also use the semicolon here. Let's save this, and if we go back, we should see no difference. But if I go ahead and change this color of white to be black, so like this, then as you see, we got a black color here. Now let's remove this back to white, so like this, and then of course we can just copy paste this anywhere we want. So here let me search for color. So where are we using the color? As you see, we got the dark blue here, so it is the primary color of our colors palette. So I'll be using the same thing here. Now here I'll just paste the text, which is props, and I'm getting the themes color, and here I'll say it should be primary color, like this. And let's copy this one, because we'll be using the primary all the time. So then again we got this gray color. Now instead of this, I'll say text dark, because that is the same way gray. So text dark, and also again for the dark blue we have the primary color, and also here the same way. And for the white it will be BG default, so like this. And also for allies blue we got the light color, or what was that? It is BG light, so I'll be using BG light like that, not default but light, like that. And the primary color again here. Let's save it, and everything is looking the same way, and we have all the possibilities now. Now if we change the color, everything will change here without searching the color for any of them, like that. So let's go ahead inside info boxes. We got no color here, but inside our code we got some color, so let's use this. Now instead of the snow here, we'll be using the text white, so it is just here text. So I say colors.text, like that. And also for the allies blue it was BG light, so BG light, you can name it anything you want, but for me it was easier like that, so I used that, and it's looking good. Now here we got some semicolon, that's why we get this error. So let's remove this. And also where else we got the colors, so it is here the gray and dark blue. So for the dark blue I got the primary, and also for the gray it will be text dark, so like this. And that's it here. So let's save this, and we should be good here. Now it's looking good and everything is the same way. Now let's go ahead and use for the hero also. So this will be the last one now. It's a light blue, and we'll be using here BG light. So like that. And also for the dark blue, I'll be using the primary. So it's primary already. Leave it like that. And then here also, so it's primary, it's good to go. And then here like that, and this will be also dark blue. And now what else we got here to change? So let's search for color here, so this way we can find everything. Now here we got everything done. So we got this dark blue. Now let's use the primary here also, like this. And again we need this white color here. So now here I say dot bg default. So like that. It's the white color which is coming from our app.js team. So guys, don't let yourself to be confused. We are using the same colors which we have defined already, but just this time we are using the colors from our themes through the props of Material UI or the theme provider. And I'm doing this because later on we'll be using the dark mode, and then we can change everything in a dark mode. So that's why I'm using that like this. In your projects, you can directly use the theme color or theme provider, so you don't need to do this again and again. But as this course is for beginners, I didn't wanted you to be confused, so that's why I'm using this now so that you understand everything better. So here again we got this background color, so it's white. Now I'm using the BG default. So the BG default is the white color which we have defined here. You could also name this white color. You could also say just white here, so you would get the white color everywhere. It just depends to you what do you want to name your keys. Okay, so let's go ahead and change the others also. So it's a color of gray, and here I'll say text dark, which means the gray color again from our palette. So for the dark blue here, again I'll be using the primary color, which is the same dark blue from our theme here, like that. And the white again, so it will be BG default, like that. And also we'll be using somewhere else. No. So we are done with this. So let's save this, and everything should be the same. Now as you see, we got everything the same as we got before, but here we can see this pink color or light pink color, and the reason is we are using the snow color here. So let's change this also. Now inside our styled card, and here I'm using this colors.text. Instead of this, I'll say BG default, which is the white color. So, and then it should look as we want. Now as you see, we got the same white color here. Perfect. Now it's looking beautiful. So let's take care of the other section here. So for this, let's go back to VS Code, and here I'll close everything so we can see everything better. And now we will create one new component, and this will be our next section. So here I'll create another folder, and I'll say this will be our section 1. So I'll say something like info section 1. So info section 1. You can call this anything you want. I'm not good with naming everything, so I'll just call this like this. So info section 1 dot .jsx, like this. And here of course we need our React component. So save it, and then I'll import this here inside my app.js. So after this info boxes, I'll be using that here. So this will be info section 1, like this. It's imported, save it, and let's go ahead, and it's here. So now let's start designing that. Now here I'll say I need a container. So here I'll say const container, and this will be equal to like styled. So not styled, and then it will be a div like that. And then we need a const wrapper. So here I'll say const wrapper, so we can wrap everything. And this will be also styled dot div, like that. And here the display of this will be flex. So, and also I'll give it justify content of center, and then the flex direction will be something like row, like that. So it will be the default one. And then here we need also some header or some title and subtitle. So I'll say const, and I call this time header. So header, and this will be styled dot div, like that. And for this I'll say just simple things, font weight bold, and also font size of 30 pixel. So font size, and it will be something like 30 pixel. And then we need some color. So now I'll already use the primary color here, so it will come from my palette. So I'll paste it here, so we are getting everything from our theme, like that. And then we need some subtitle, so I'll say const, and here it will be subtitle, and this will be equal to, of course, styled dot div, like this. And here I'll say this will get a color of primary again, or maybe our color of secondary, because this will be something like tomato. So secondary, like this. And then here I'll say the font weight again should be bold, like that. And after this I'll be using some description, so I'll say const description here is equal to, and again styled. So, and this will be a p tag or div. I'll use p tag this time, so like this. And here I'll say the text line if this, or maybe text line left is okay. Then I'll just define some color, and the color of this will be gray, so that's why I'll say text dark. So something like this, and let me close the curly braces. And now I'll save this one, and let's use them so we can see the result. So let me use the container here, so I'll say Command D or Control D, and then I'll type container, like this. And inside this we need the wrapper, so, and we are using wrapper here. And inside the wrapper then we got our header, subtitle, and description. So I'll be using the header here, like this, and I'll say header for now so we can see the result. And then we'll be using the subtitle, so subtitle, and here we will give some subtitle, so it will be just subtitle for now. Later on I'll paste some text here. Then we got some description here, like this. And let's close this, and here I'll be using the lorem ipsum, so like that, and everything is looking good. Now let's see what is going on here. So as you see, we got exactly what we want, but now we have to use this as column. So let's go ahead and do this. Now inside the wrapper I'll say the flex direction should be column, like that. Save it, and if we go back, and as you see we have aligned everything as we want, but I want to show the subtitle before the header. So let's go ahead and do this also. And now I'll just change their positions, so I'll get subtitle, and we can call this title instead of this subtitle. So let's say it is a title, because we are titling everything like that. So title, I'll copy this one, and instead of subtitle we'll be using this here. Now let's save it, and as you see we got everything the way we want. And now here I want to use an image also, so there will be text and also an image in the right side. So for this I'll come back here and create an image box. So I'll say const, and you can say it is right image box, so let's say it is right for now. So const right, and this will be equal to styled dot div. So inside this, and here we will define some width for that. So the width of this will be something like 30%, like this. And then we need our image. So for this I'll be using const, and here I'll say image, and this will be style dot image, so it's img. So for the image I'll say just the width of this will be 100%, so like that. And let's save this, and we need one image here, so let's import this. So instead of importing, I'll copy paste something. So I'll call this section 1 image, and I import this from our images folder here. So let me use this now as image. Now here after this wrapper we'll be using our image section, so it will be right like this, and inside this we'll be using our image also. So image, and the source of this will be our image as before. So I'll paste the name here and close it and save it. Now if we go back, now as you see we got everything in column, and that's what we don't want. We want to show them as vertically, so as a flex. So that's why let me create one more box for this text here. So I'll say here inside my section, so I'll go ahead and create another const, and I'll say this, and this will be our left, so const left, and here I'll say it will be styled dot div, and here we'll be using the rest width which we have. So width of this will be 70%, because 30% of width we are using for the right here. So now let's use this. Now I'll cover all the text here inside this left box. So left, and I'll paste it here, and then we can just press the Ctrl and bring this all the way down here like that, and then just press enter and save it. Now it's already here. Now let's go ahead and see the result. Now as you see we got the same result, because we are using for the container the flex direction of column. Now I can say it is row. So if we go ahead, you can see we have aligned the image on the right and the text on the left, and the reason is we are using one container here, so it is the left one, and the other container is right. And we got a wrapper, and this wrapper has a flex direction of row, so it will just define these two containers and as a row, so it will just take the right and the left. So now for them, for the left we can use the column or the row, whatever we want, or for the right the same way. So now let's take care of other CSS, because we got everything aligned for us, but it is not centered like our cards. So let's see how to do this. For this, inside this wrapper, so we will give it some margin. So here I'll say margin, so here I'll say 0 pixel from top, and I'll say 140 pixel from right, and also I'll give it 0 pixel from bottom, and then we'll be using, so it's 0 pixel not O pixel, and also 140 pixel from left, like this. Let's save it, and if we go back you can see it's aligned center, but also here we need some margin, so let's give it some padding from left and right. Now instead of using everything from wrapper, we'll be using some margin padding inside our container. So here I'll say padding, and this will be 10 pixel and 20 pixel. So left and right 20 pixel, top and bottom 10 pixel, like this. And if we go back you can see it is aligned as we want. It's looking beautiful. And also for this subtitle I want some margin from the bottom, so let's go ahead, and we are using this as title, so I say margin bottom like this, and it will be something like 10 pixel. Let's see. And yes, it's looking beautiful. So now here I want to show some list items which will give some more information about this section here. So for this, I'll go back here, and of course after this left, we will create another component. And I'll call this const list. So, and this will be a styled.div, because if we use the UL, there will be some margin, and that's what I don't want. So that's why I say it's a div like that. And here I'll say list style. First of all, because of those dots, I'll say it's none, and then the display of this as usual flex, and also I'll say the width will be 100% like that. And then we need align items center, and then justify content center, so like that. So now for the list, we got some items also. So I'll say here const list item like that, and then is equal to styled dot li. Now we need li here, and inside this we need some css, of course. So, and here first of all we need some color. So color, and let me refresh your mind, we are using everything from our theme provider. So we define the dollar curly braces, and we use the props, so like this. And then I'll say here props.theme.color, so dot, and then we are using the primary color from there like that. So it's a dark blue color which is coming from here. So inside our theme side colors, we got some primary, and it's dark blue. Perfect. Now after color, we need border for this. So I'll say the border here 2 pixel solid, and I'll give it a color of white like that. And then I'll say a min width here. So the min width of this will be 200 pixel like this. And also I'll say the text align should be left like that. So now let's go ahead and use them. Now I'll be using this list. So first of all, after this description here, I'll be using the list like that, and inside this we'll be using some list item. So I'll say list item like this, and I'll say list item here. Save it, and if we go back, now as you see we got our list item here, but I want to show this just like these cards here. So that's why let me copy that background shadow. So here inside our info boxes we get that shadow, but we are importing this from card. So let's go inside the card, and here as you see we got that shadow. So I'll just copy this one and use it inside our info section 1 for the list item here. So I'll paste it here, and if we go back, you can see we got a good card here. So now let's give it some margin and padding so it'll look better. So for this, I'll go back here and define some margin and padding. Let me use this here. So now I'll say the padding like this. It will be 20 pixel from top and bottom, and 20 pixel from left and right. Save it, and as you see it's looking beautiful. But let me give this some border also. So I'll give it some border left here. So I'll say border left, and the color of this will be this time blue. So I'll say it will be 5 pixel solid, and then we'll be using this primary color like that, and I'll paste it here. Save it, and if we go back, you can see everything is looking beautiful here. But now if I just go ahead and copy this twice, so like this, if save it, you'll see that they align themselves in a row, and also we got no margin between them. So let's take care of that. The first thing, as we did before, so they are inside this list item. So here the display is flex. What we can do is we can say the flex wrap like that. It should be wrap, so they will align themselves if there's no space. For example, if I go here and make one more of them, so I'll just paste it here. Now if we go back, you can see it's coming down. But now, as you see, it's still not looking good because the width of this text is too much here. So let's go ahead and make it some smaller. So here I'll say for the left, the width of this will be 60%, and for the right, it will be 40%, like this. Let's save this. And if we go back, now you can see it's looking much beautiful and our image is a little bigger. But for the start, I want to use this image in our left side, so let's do it. For this, I'll go ahead and use this image. So the right, I'll just use this before this left, so like this. And as you see, it's looking beautiful now. And also between them, let's give some margin. So here inside our list items, so here I'll say the margin of 2 pixel. So margin 2 pixel, not just pixel, 2 pixel. Save it, and if we go back, you can see there's a good margin between them, but still we can't see anything. So let me make this 5 pixel. Now as you see, we got some beautiful margin here. So now let me put some real text here so you can see everything better. Now here, instead of typing everything, I'll just paste some text here. So we got title, header, description, and also lesson list item, the same way we had before. I'll just save it with new text. As you see, everything is looking beautiful. Now let me give some margin from the top because it's not good like this. So for this, I'll go back here, and as we got our container here, I'll give it some margin from top. So margin top of something like, let's give this 4%. So I'll say here 4%, like this. And as you see, we got a good margin here and everything is looking beautiful. So let's go ahead and take care of the other section, in which we will use an image and show some text over it. So for this, I'll go back to VS Code, and inside my components, here I'll create another folder and I'll call this info section 2, like this. And then inside this, of course, we need our React component. So info section 2 dot JSX here. Now let's create the function. So like that, and we import this inside our app.js. So I'll go here and let me copy this one because it's the same way. Just we need to type here 2. So like this. Now it's not importing this. We got some error also. So let's see what's wrong here. Info section 2 inside this. So it's in lowercase. I don't know why. So let's use this in uppercase here. Also the export should be in uppercase. So save it. And this time we should be able to import this. Yes, it's here. So let's import this. It's imported. Now let's go ahead and see if everything is working. So we got the info section 2 here. Perfect. Now let's go inside this and make some changes. So here, first of all, we need a container. So I'll say const container, and this time it will be styled, of course. This time we need an image inside this container. So here I'll say div, and let's use this back text here, and inside this we will be using our display as flex. So like this, and also justify content as usual, center, and align items, of course, center, like this. And also what else we need, we'll use the flex wrap, so as wrap, so we get everything responsive. And also here we need the background image. So I'll say background image, and this will come from an URL. So like this, and inside this we can put our background image. So like that. Now let me import that background image. So it will be something like this. So I'll paste it here. So it is section 1 image or section image, whatever you call this, like that. and I'll save it. And then we define the background size here. So background size, and it will be cover like that. And also background repeat, so it will be no repeat. And also we need the background attachment as fixed, or let this just like that so I can show you the example. Now after this we'll need some title for this, so now I'll say const, and it will be title. It should be styled, so like that, and .div. So, and here I'll say the color of this should be white, and also we need the font size, so I'll give it a font size of 30 pixel, so like that. And then we need the font weight of this, and this will be bold. So perfect, I'll save it. And then we need also the description, so again const description, so is equal to styled dot div, so here. And then the color of this will be again white, so like that. And then width of this will be something like 40%, because otherwise it will cover all the screen with all the text, and that's what we don't want. So after this, the font weight of this will be something lighter like this. And also the font size, so it will be something like 25 pixel. And also the text align is left, it's okay like that. So let's use everything. Now here I'll use the container again, so container. And then inside this section we got some title, so let's use the title here first. And then I'll say just title so we can see everything. And then after that we need the description like this, and here let's put some lorem also, so like that. Save it. Let's go ahead and see the result. So as you see, we got an image and we can't see everything, so let's give it some padding. So here I'll say, or some margin will be better, so here I'll say margin top of 20%, or maybe 10% is better, 10%. And also height for this, so height of this will be 250 pixel or something like that. So let's go ahead and see this. Now we can see everything, but as you see, our title is here and they are not in the form of column. So let's change the direction. So here I'll say flex direction, so it will be column. Save it. And if we go back, you can see everything is as we want. But here I don't want to show all the text in one description. Instead of this, I'll divide them so the things will start looking good here. So here I'll just remove some text from here to see the example, and I'll copy this one and paste it here. And if you go back, you can see it's looking much better, but still you can see there's no padding between this title and description. So here I'll say for title, the padding from everywhere will be 2% or something like that. So, and now it's looking gorgeous. So let's go ahead and put some text so we can see the result better. So for that, I'll copy some text from here and I'll paste it just here instead of this description and title. Save it, and if we go back, you can see anywhere workspace and also some text here. But here also, as you see, there we need some padding between these two descriptions. Now instead of this, I'll go ahead and use this div as p tag, and it will give it by default some paddings. So as you see, it has given some padding, but here as you see, they are not column anymore. So let's take care of this also. Now for that, I'll go here below the container here. I'll create a text wrapper. So I'll say const text wrapper, so like this, and it will be equal to styled.div. So here inside this we need the flex direction as column, so let's remove this from here, and also the display will be of course flex, like that, and we need the justify content also center, so let's copy everything from here, align item center like this, save it, and then we use this text wrapper for these titles here, and I'll paste it just here like this, and we'll close this of course, and then I'll just take it and bring this from here to the last, so here, and save it. And if we go back, as you see, we get everything as we want, but there we need some more margin, so let's go ahead and take care of this. So for the height of this, now we don't give it any height, so it will cover as it needs. So instead of height, I'll just remove this, and it will cover the text which it will need. Now as you see, the texts are looking beautiful, but still let's give the text wrapper 100% of width, so this way it will just cover a little bit more of space here. So I'll go here inside text wrapper, and I'll say the width of this will be 100%, like that, and I'll save it. And as you see, we got everything in 2 lines, and it's looking very nice. But as you see, if we go top, so scroll top, the image is also going down. But I don't want this. I want the image to be always here. So for this, I'll go here inside my container, and here I'll say the background attachment of this should be, so background attachment fixed, like this. If we save this, so now if I scroll it, you can see the image is already there, and we get this beautiful animation here. So it looks very beautiful like this. But of course, it's all depends to you. If you wanted just a background image, so you can remove this background attachment from here. Perfect. So now we are done with this section also. So let's take care of the next section. For the next section, we need almost everything from here. We'll just change the image and also the size of these 2 containers. So for this, let's go back to VS Code, and here I'll create another component, and I'll say here new folder, and it will be info section 3 of course, and it will be in lowercase because it's a folder name, and then it will be in uppercase. So again info, so here info section .jsx. So now here I'll say rfce to create our component, and it's created. Now let's go ahead inside app.js, and I'll import it here. So let me copy this one, and here just we type 3, and it's also imported. Now let's go inside browser, it's here. Now for this, everything will be just easy. So let me close the section 2 and info boxes from here. And now everything from this section we need also in section 3, but instead of copy pasting everything from here, let me show you some other trick of styled components. So I'll just copy all the styled components from here. So until the image, I'll just copy everything from here, or just cut out. And inside my styles, I'll create another file, and I'll call this styled.section.jsx. So it will be a reusable component. So I'll paste it here, and of course before everything, like here, we need this export. So let's use this. I'll export the container, and we'll export the wrapper, this header, and everything from here. So I'll just export them like this, and also the right and the left one from here. Now it's done, so let's save it, and we use this image inside our section 1 and not here. So let's bring this back, and now if we save, we get error. So as you see, we get error, nothing is here. Now let's import this. So I'll import this from styled.section. So it's imported here, and the wrapper the same way, and also the right, so it's here, and also the image, but I can't see the image here. So let's see what's wrong. Style.section. So we should be able to get that image also. So it's not exporting from here. So I'll copy this export from here and just paste it here. So it's exported also. So now we should be able to import this also. Now, as you see, we got this here. Perfect. Now for left, the same way, we'll import this. Title, I think we have imported already. And then we need the header. So header also, description, it's also imported. No, not from there, because we got two description. One is from card and one is from section. So always remember to import from the component you want. So like this. And then we need the list. So we got inside section. So that's it here. And of course we need the list item also. Now let's save this, and if we go back, you can see everything is as before, but with the difference that we are exporting all the components, so they are now reusable. Now let's go ahead inside the section 3 and use everything from section 1. Now here we have all those imports, so I'll use just everything from here up to there and copy it and just paste it here. So like that. And of course we need to change the name of the function, which is 1, it should be 3, and now we are good to go. Now if I save this like this, we get some error because section 1 image is not imported, so it's here. But for this we need the section 3 image, so like this. So let me just copy some image here. So I'll paste an image here. Now here it will be section 3. So like this, and save it. And if we go back, you can see we got another beautiful picture here. But what I want is to change the sides of them. So this one is at the left side, so this one should be in the right side. Now how to do this? Of course we can go here and just cut this right section and paste it here. But as we are using the style component, let me show you some better way for this. So for that, I'll go back to styled section. So here I'll search for wrapper, and inside this wrapper, as you see, we are using the flex direction as row. But if you use row reverse here, so if I save it and come back, as you see, the image sizes are changed. So it's already here also. But now what we can do is we can send this property as prop. So for this, I'll come here and say it's a prop. So again, we know this how to do this. Dollar and then the curly braces, and inside this we'll be using the function curly braces again, and I'll call this direction. And then we need to pass this an arrow. So here I'll say direction like this. Now it is done. So let me use the semicolon here. Perfect. Let's copy this one. Now inside our info section 1 and info section 3, we can use this direction. So here inside wrapper, now I'll paste the direction. So Control V, and then here I'll be using the direction which I want. So for the first one, I'll say the direction will be row. So like that. And here for the section 3, I'll say the direction of this will be row reverse, as we did before. So row, and it will be reverse like this. Save it, and if we go back, you can see we got this image in its place, and we are changing the sides here also. Now let me bring some more text here so it will be different from here, so we can see the changes much better. So I'll copy some text from here and I'll paste it just instead of this 3. So instead of this title and all those list item, Let me import this. So here up to this title, I'll paste them. It's just the same way but with new text here. Let's save this, and if we go back, you can see there's new text. So that's why it's looking more beautiful, because we got different sections here. So now we are done with this section also. Let's create our theme section. So for this, we go again here inside the components, and I'll create another folder, and I'll call this theme just as it is. And inside this, we'll be using themes.jsx. So themes.jsx like this, and here I say rfce and save it. And let me close this from here. So this one also. And after this section, I'll be importing the theme here like this. Themes, it's imported, or you can call this themes member, but for me it's okay like that. So now let's go inside this, and here we need some cards also. So now let's design the themes. So here first of all we need a container. So I'll say const container like this, and it will be of course styled. So it will be styled.div like this. Now let's import the styled here .div, and then we'll be using the backtick. Inside the backtick, I'll just say here some padding, so the padding of 5%. So like this, and then we'll be using another const for wrapper. So I'll say wrapper, and this will be styled like this dot again div, and here we'll be using some more CSS. So I'll say display of this will be flex, and then justify content center, and also here flex wrap will be wrap. So flex wrap, so it will make our cards responsive. And after this, I'll be using a card here. So cards, I'll say theme card, so like that, because it's a little bit different than other cards. So here .div, and inside this I'll say height for the card, it will be 350 pixel like that, and also width, and the width of this will be 280 pixel like this. And the display of this, of course, it will be flex, and also flex direction, so it will be column. And also here I'll say align items. So here instead of center I'll say flex start, so the start of the flex. And also here I'll say justify content center. And then what else we need align items center, so everything will be centered for us as we want. And also I need some box shadow because we are using some card here. So let me paste that shadow. It is the same shadow we are using inside our info boxes like this. Let me save this, and after this we need the card image here also. So I'll say const card image, so like this, and this will be something like styled dot image. So here we say the height of this will be 100% like this, and also the width of this will be 100% like this. And also we need here some hover, so I'll say in hover and hover, and here we define our hover. So I'll say the cursor of this should be pointer, not alias, pointer like this. Now that's enough here I think, so let me save this. And after this we'll be needing some name and also the title of that team member. So for this I'll need a wrapper because I want to show them as column. So here I'll say text wrapper like this, and this will be styled dot div, and again here we'll say displays flex, and also the direction or flex direction will be here the column, so it will be top of each other like this. So here I'll say const, and it will be our member, so I'll say member name, is equal to styled and dot div and then back text, and here I'll say just the color of this will be something like color, and I'll use props because I want to use our theme. So here I'll say props, and then we'll be using our theme. So it's a percentage sign, I need dollar sign here like this, and the fat arrow, and also I'll say props dot theme dot colors. And which color do I need? For this I'll be using the dark blue, which is the primary color of this website. So let's save this, and after this I'll be using some title. So const theme position, so instead of title theme position it will be styled.div, so like this. And here I'll say the color of this one will be, again we need everything from here, so let's just copy this with a different color. So here, as it's a paragraph, so it will be text dark like this, and it's done. Now let me use our components here. So the first one will be container like this, and after this, so inside this we'll be using the card like this, so card, and close it. And after this we'll be using the text wrapper, so text wrapper, and then the title here, so the member name, so like this. Now I'll say name, and also the member position here, so theme or member position, theme position, okay, theme position. So I'll say position like this, and also we need the card image here, so I'll say here card image, so card image like this. It will be self-closing, and we need some source here, so let me import some image for this. Now here I got some more images, so for each member I've imported, so I'll be using the first one for first card. So here inside curly braces we can define this, save it. We got some error, let's see what's the problem. Card is not defined, so it is theme card, I think. Yeah, so let's use it as card also, so card doesn't matter. Now as you see, we got a beautiful card here, but if we hover on this, you can see the cursor's pointer, but we see no effect here, and also the image is not looking good inside this. So let's take care of that. So here I'll go inside this image, so the hover here, I'll say the opacity of the image then should be 0.5. You can use any how you want. And also here for the image we'll be using the object fit, so I'll be saying object fit, and it should be cover, which will cover everything inside the card, and this way the image will look more beautiful. So let's save this and see the result. Now as you see, the images aligned perfectly, and as you see, we got this beautiful opacity if we hover on them. So now let me use some more images here so we can see everything much better. Now here I'll copy this one and paste it 2 times, and let me just change the images, so it is image 2 and 3, and also we get the image 4 here like this. Save it, and if we go back, as you see, we got our images as column. Now the reason is we are not using our wrapper here, because if we use this wrapper, the flex wrap will be wrap, so this way it will be also responsive. So I'll go ahead here, after container I'll use my wrapper here and close this. So I'll just cut it from here and paste it all the way down here like this. If we save it, and as we go back, you can see they are aligned, centered, and looking much beautiful. Now let me give some margin between every card. So here I'll say for the card, so margin, I'll say margin of this from everywhere will be 1%. So it's enough, I think. So let's save this, and if you go back, so now as you see, everything is looking beautiful. We got our margin and they are aligned center as we want. So now I need a title like this also there. So for this we got another component, which is this text banner. So before this wrapper, I'll be using the banner. So here will be text banner. So text banner, and then inside this we will say the title of this. It will be something like we are union or whatever you say. So we are union, like that. And also we got some subtitle. So the subtitle, which is coming as prop. So for this I'll say our team. So our team, like this. And of course we need to close this. So I'll close it just like that and save it. And if we go back, you can see a beautiful title is here. But now before this team, I'll show one more image just like that, where we show our completed projects, subscribers, and etc. So that way it will look much beautiful. So let's bring this also. Now for this I'll go here and I'll create another folder, and this one we call section 4. So I'll say info section 4. So like that, and then we need the component also. So I'll say here info section 4.jsx. So like this, and we'll create our component, and then we'll import this before our theme. So after this 3 there should be 4. So here I'll say 4. Now if I save this, it's not here. Let's import this like that and save it. Now it's working. Now let me indent this. Perfect. Now let's go ahead here. As you see, we got this info section 4. So this info section 4 will be something just like this section. So let's export some components from this for the section 4 also. So it was our section 3 or 2, I think. So it is section 2, like that. Inside this we got this container with this image. Now here I can just export this container because I don't want to repeat this CSS. Of course I could use this also inside this styles here, but I want to show you more methods of using styled components instead of using just one method, because this way you will understand the styled components much better. But after this course, of course, you can use this way or just this way as I'm doing right now. So with that being said, I'll export this wrapper also. So export this, and then we don't need the title and description because our new title and description will be something different. So let's go ahead and create that section also. So for this I'll go to info section 4, and here I'll import this. So first of all we will import that container which is coming from here. So it is here. Now let's import this. Now here I'll type container, and it should be imported from info section 2 like this. And if we import this one, now if we go back, you will see that image here. You see that image just the same as here, but let's pass this image as a prop, so this way we can access to a new image inside our section 4 also. So here, instead of this section image, I'll just cover this inside this parenthesis, and then I'll cover this inside some more curly braces. So this way I'll make this a prop. So a fat arrow, and this will be section image. Now let's change this name here. So I'll say it will be section image 1 like this. Save it, and I'll just use this one now inside my component. So here as a section image like this, and it will be our new name, which is section image 1. Save it, and everything should work as it is. And yes, it's working, but here we got no image because we are not using our prop. So I'll go to section 4, and here inside the container I'll say section image. So section image is our prop. So section image is equal to, and here we need some more image, so let's import one more image. So let me copy that import of image here. So it's here now. Now instead of this bg1, I'll be using section image 4 here, like this, and we can use this inside our prop like that. If we save this, if we go back, you can see there's already an image. We can see this because we don't have any height or any kind of components inside this. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and take care of this card here. So first of all, here I'll create a wrapper for this. So here I'll say const, but I can call this also a card because there will be like some cards here. So it will be styled.div, and then of course we need some width here, so I'll say width of 250 pixel, like that. And then we need the const card content. So inside of every card we got some content, so card content is equal to styled and .div, so like that. And we need our backticks, and then after this I'll say the display of this will be flex. And now as you see, we are repeating ourselves, which means you can do it yourself. So give it a try yourself, pause the video. If you couldn't do this, then come back and see how I do this. With that being said, now let's continue. Now here I'll say justify content center, and also align items. Of course it will be center, and then I'll say the flex direction of this will be column, because I want to show all the content on top of each other. So there will be a title and also some description. So here column, like this. And also now we'll be using for those titles. So the first one will be title, but this title will be something like number. So let me call this just number. So number is equal to style.div. So, and here we'll give this some font width of bold and also font size of 50 pixel. So like this. And also the color. Now for the color we'll be using our prop, so let's do this. Now here I'll be using props because we want to use the theme at the end of this video. So here I'll say props dot theme dot text, or dot colors dot text was that, yeah, dot text, like this. And then we need the subtitle for this, or description. So here we can say const, I call the subtitle, I don't know what should I name this. So subtitle is equal to, and this will be styled.div, and here again font width bold and also font size of something like 20 pixel, like this. And also we need some color of white, not wheat but white, like this. It's good. Now let's save this and let's use this now. Now here inside this I'll be using my card first of all. So I'll say card, like this, and inside this card we got our card content, like that. And here we'll be using first of all the number, so we'll show some number here. So here I'll say 100 plus, for example, like that. And after this we'll be using the subtitle, so there will be subtext what this number is about. So here I'll say number of subscribers, or just I can say this is subscribers, like this. I say this is 1000 plus, like this. Save it, and we got some error. Let's see this here. we haven't imported the styled components. That's not good. So let's import this. I'll just delete the last word and then we can import this. Save it. As you see, everything is successful. And we got our text here, but it's not looking good now because we are not using any kind of height for this component here. So let's go ahead and do this also. Now, as we importing this from info section 2, so here we have no height defined. So let's do this. Now here I'll use height like that, and this will be our prop now, because in this component for info section 2 we don't need any kind of height, but for our info section 4 we do need this. So here again I'll be using everything as React. So here I'll call this again height, maybe with capital letter like that, and then it will be height like that. So save it, and if we go back, you can see there's no difference here, because here we don't need any kind of height, but here of course we can define. So let's go ahead inside section 4, and here I'll say the height of this card content or container. So it's the container here, and I'll say height of this. So height of this will be something like 300 pixels like this, and save it. And if we go back, you can see we got this beautiful image also, and also you can see this emotion. It's looking great. We are ending from one and coming to other. Perfect. Now let's take care of these text boxes here. So I'll be using this card for 4 times. So let's copy and paste this and save it. And if we go back, you can see it's looking beautiful, but the text row is still not looking good here. So we got some problem. Now let's go ahead. So font size of 50 pixel. Oh, I used font style and I need font size. So here I got this. Now here also it will be font size of 20 pixel and 50 pixel. That's why they were too small. Now it's looking much better here. So now instead of this text here which is repeating itself, let me paste some data here so we can see everything better. Now I'll just delete them from here, and instead of this I'll copy some data instead of typing them, because I don't want to waste your time. So as you see, we got all the text. So 1000 plus projects, 80,000 plus 5-star rating, and the other. So number of subscribers is 2 times. So let's change this. Now here I'll say it is just subscribers like this. It will be 1 million plus. So 1M plus, and also here. So here I'll say the number of likes, or just likes here. So like this. And if we go back, as you can see, it's looking gorgeous here. Now we got our theme, we got our sections, and everything is looking just beautiful. And then we need our blog post here. So let's create this also. Now for this, I'll go here and then I'll create that. So new folder, and I'll call this blogs. So blogs, and inside this I'll create this blogs.jsx file here. And now we know how to do everything. So it's here inside .app.js. Now we'll import our blogs here. So like this, blogs, and then we close this, of course, save it, and this should be here. It is here. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for our blogs. Now before this, I'll close all of them because we don't need them anymore, but our blogs we need. So let's open this again. So here, blogs.jsx. So now for the blog also we need, as usual, one special container. So I'll say const container, and this will be equal to styled.div. So, and here inside this we'll define all our CSS. So display of this will be flex, and also justify content will be center, and I'll say the flex wrap should be wrap, so it will be responsible. And for the rest of the components, we will bring everything from our style.card. So we'll be using the same card also for our blogs. So here I'll say just the container, so I'll use the container here instead of these divs. And inside this we'll be using our card, so I'll say card, and it should be imported from our style.card, so which is here. Now click on this, and as you see it's coming from style.card. Now let's close this, and then we need of course the card content, so here I'll say card content, and this will be also from style.card. And inside this we need some more, so we need also the card title and description and also the button. So here I'll say the card content, then I'll say card title like this. It will be here, and we'll give it some title so we can see everything. And after this we need the description, so the description should be from style.card of course, like this. And here I'll give it some lorem ipsum, so it's done. Save it. And also we need the card button, so here I'll say card button, or it's just button I think, yeah. So let's use the button, so it's read more like this, and save it. Now we get some error. Let's see what's going on. Styled, we haven't imported the styled components, so let's import this also. Styled component is here. Now it's working. Now if we go back, you can see we got a card just same as here, but inside this we need also an image here, so let's place that image also. But for image we will be using one more component, so we can use this inside this style card, or we can use this directly here. Now as we can need the image in future for something else, so let me use this also inside styled.card. So here I'll say export const, and this will be image, so I'll say card image like this. This will be of course styled. And what do we want to style? We want to style the image. So here for the CSS I'll say the height of this will be 100%, and also the width will be 100% like this. And also object width, it will be cover like this. And that's it. I think it's enough for this. Now let's go inside blogs, and here inside the card component I'll be using the card image. So here I'll come back and say image, or card image it was, so card image. Now it will be self-closing, and also for this we need some images, so let me import them. I'll just copy some imports, so I'll paste them here. So card image 1, image 2, image 3. Now let's use this. So here I'll say source like this, and it will be curly braces, so, and I'll paste the image here. Now let's save this, and if you go back we can see that the image is here and it's looking beautiful. But as you see, there's a small padding here, and that's what we don't want inside these cards. So for this I'll go back inside VS Code, and here inside the style.card, so we got the card content and the padding of 10 pixel. So if I remove this for 1 pixel, and if we come back, you can see it covers everything. But inside our cards, everything is looking messy here. So that's why we will be using this padding as prop. So here I'll say $sign again, and then we need our function inside this, our curly braces. Now here we can define our padding, so I'll say it as a padding, and we need our fat arrow, we call this padding like that. And then we can define the padding inside both cards. So first of all, I'll come here inside our card content here inside the blocks. So let's use the padding here. So now here I'll say the padding of this will be something like 2%. So 2% like this. If we save this and go back, now here it's not looking good, but here we got 2%. Now let's remove this by 1%, so like this, and as you see it's looking much better. Or let me make this 0 because we don't want our 0.5%. So let's see. Now it's looking much beautiful. Here we can see some small padding, but still it's covering everything. So it's more beautiful like this. Now let's take care of the cards here also. Now for this, I'll be using the padding. So let me copy this one from here and I'll go inside our info boxes. So here, now here we got the card content again. So I'll paste that here. And this will be this time 2% or just 5% maybe. So save, and if I come back, now this card is looking beautiful, but the others doesn't got that margin, so we have to use this everywhere. So I'll copy this one and use this everywhere here. So I'll paste this just here, and also for other card contents like this. Now I know some shortcuts also for this to do everything faster, but for the beginners, I do this like this because this way they can understand what we are doing. So I'll just remove from every card here and paste that padding. Save it, and as you see, everything is looking beautiful, and also for our blocks, everything is looking perfect. Now let's make some more cards here. So I'll go here and copy this card from here. Not the info boxes, but blog. So I'll copy this one from here, or just everything from the card. So copy, and I'll paste it here twice, and then this will be image 2, and there image 2 and image 3. Save it, and if we go back, we got 3 beautiful cards here. And also the same way as here, we need some title here. So let's go ahead and do this also. So for this, we'll be using our banner, which we have created. So before the container, so here I'll be using the reactive fragment first of all to wrap everything like this, and I'll paste it here. And then of course we need that banner. So it was info banner like this, info banner, or what we call this, let's see, info boxes and text banner. So text banner like this, and there we got a title as prop. So here you say that our blocks, so like that, and also we got some header, I think, or subtitle, whatever. Let's try this as header, or we can see this subtitle was that. So let me copy this one from here. So subtitle is equal to, and here I'll say recent news. So you can say anything you want. So I'll just save this one, and if we go back, you'll say our blogs and recent news. Now it's looking beautiful here. Everything is as we want. Now perfect. We got almost everything, but we need our footer, and also we will create that dark mode here. So let's take care of the footer first of all. So for this, I'll come back here inside components, and I'll create another folder, and I'll call this footer, and inside this my footer.jsx. So I'll create this file here and our AFCE like this, and for this also we needed some container. So I'll say const container is equal to styled.div, and here we'll be using the flex display of flex. So like this, and I'll say justify content center, and align items also center. And here I'll say flex wrap also will be wrap. So flex wrap, this should be wrap like this. And then we need some color here. So color of this will be white. And then we need background color. So BG color of black, or whatever color you want to give this, it's up to you. Width of this will be 100%, so like this. And also I'll give it some margin top so we get a good margin from the top contents. So margin top of like 5%, I think it's enough. And then we need height, so the height of this will be 40% of any screen, like this. And I'll save this. And then we need some title here, so I'll say const title for each title we want to show inside our footer. So it will be style.div, like this. And here we use the different sizes, but of course for title and description you can use also some styles of a styled component and just import it here. But I'm not doing like that because I don't want to confuse the beginners for that. So here again I'll say color of this will be white, and also I'll say font weight, it should be bold. And also what else we need, I'll say font size. So font size, and this will be 20 pixel or something like that. And then we can give it some padding, I think. So padding of 2%, like that, and that's enough for now. And also for about us, so we will make another, or for our description. So let's make this also as description. So const description again, so it will be equal to styled, not style, styled dot div. And here we'll define some CSS, of course, but for this we need color of gray because the text should be gray. And also here I can say the display of this will be same way, flex, and also flex direction will be column because I want to show everything on top of each other. So column, like this. And then what else we need, I can align them center. So, and also font weight of bold. So font weight of bold. And that's enough. Let's use them so we can see the result also. And also we got some problem here. Now let's see what's wrong. Nothing. So let me use the container first of all here. So container, like that. Let me use this here also. And inside this container we will have all our content. So first of all, I'll be using the description of our website, or it will be our about us. So here, and inside this I'll be using the title. So title, like this. And the title for now I'll say just about us, like this. And also we need some description, of course. So let's give it some description. But as it is also the description, so let's use the text directly here. So I'll say lorem and I'll give it some text here. Now it's here, and now let's go ahead and see what's going on. So we are not using this yet. So inside of app.js, and after this blog, so I'll be importing my footer. It's here, save it, and we got some error. Let's see what it is. Again, styled components. I forget this all the time. So here it should be imported. It's there. And now as you see, we got a beautiful footer here. But here as you see, as we got just one content, it's covering everything. But here we will be using our menu items. So it will be just the same thing as our menu items from here. So to import them, I'll go back to our navbar, and here I'll be importing them. So let's go inside the navbar, and here I'll just copy the menu and menu items. So it was down. Now where are they? Here. So I'll be using these two. So I'll copy them inside the footer. So I'll paste them here like that, or we can just export them. So but for now, for simplicity, I just use them like this because I have to use some props here also. And for now, let me paste all those menu and its title here so we can see everything. Now here I'll be using this and save it. And if I go back, As you can see, we got this beautiful hover and also the menus here. But our services is looking not good, and also I want to align them together and not like that. So let's go ahead and see how to do this. For this, I'll create one more const table and call this menu items. So I'll say const menu items, so, or menu container we could call, whatever you like. So .div, and here inside this I'll say the margin top. So first of all, I'll give it some margin from the top, and this should be something like 10 pixel, like that. And also I'll say font size, so font size of this will be also 20 pixel, like that. And also we need the font weight of bold, and what else we can give, the color of this should be gray, like that. And also I'll say the cursor will be pointer, like that, and save it. And that's it, I think. So I'll cover everything from here with the menu items, like this. And let me use this one at the end, so like that. And if we go back, as you see, it's already there, but as we are using this as column, that's why it's not showing as a row. So now I can use the flex direction of column for them also. So let's go ahead inside the menu item, like that. So here I'll say, so the flex direction will be column, like this. So now as you see, we got them as column, but still we have to define some width for this about us to get this column also in the top. So for this, I'll go here inside my description. So here I'll say font size for this first of all, and this will be something like 20 pixel, so 20 pixel. But here we define a width also. The width of this will be 30%, like this. Save it, and if we go back, you can see we got the about us in one side and our services in the other side. It's looking beautiful now, but as you see here, this our services, not like this about us. So here I say for menu item, so for each menu item I'll give this a margin top of, so margin top of something like 10 pixel. So like this, I'll save it, and if we go back, you can see they are in the same direction. So now let's create one more column here also for our privacy policy. So for this, I'll just paste some text here, so it will be the same menu items in menu. I'll just repeat it. So here, after this menu items, I'll be using some more menu items, and it will get a title of our policies. And inside this, we paste two links, which is privacy policy and data policy, like this. Save it, and as you see, it's here and everything is looking nice. But as we hover them, the hover color is this dark blue. So let's remove this, and I'll say this, the hover color will be something like white. So I'll say here, instead of this color, now let me give this white here. So just directly white, so we can see everything. And as you see, it gets white as we hover. Perfect. And now I want to make one copyright sections here at the bottom. So for this, I'll go ahead inside VS Code. Now here I'll say const, and I'll call this copyright. So copyright, like this, and this will be equal to styled dot div. And then we give some CSS display flex, like this. And also here I'll say justify content center. Then what else we need? Align items center. And then I can say height of 10%, like this. And also say background color of this should be gray. And also color of this, I'll say for text the color white, and the font size for the text should be 20 pixel, So like that. Now let's use this. So, and I'll copy this one and paste it here below the menu items. So I'll be using it here. But if you use this inside the container, it will align itself with them together. So that's why we have to use this outside of our container. So let's use React the fragment, and then I'll use the copyright here. And I have misspelled the copyright, so let me correct this. So here it will be copyright and not right, like this. Let's use this here like that, and then we need to use the defragment just above the container, so we cover everything here like this. Now inside this we need some text, so I'll say here for this copy symbol, so I'll say in copy, and then the year, so here I'll say coding straight, and I'll say all rights reserved, like this. And that's it. Save it, and if we go back, you can see a beautiful photos here. We got everything as we want, and that is just awesome. So I like it a lot. So let's go ahead and take care of the responsiveness of this website, because now if we decrease the screen size, it's trying to make everything responsible, but it isn't responsible. Just our cards are okay, so they are looking beautiful, but for the other sections you can see they are not aligned as we want. So let's just take care of them. So for this we need the media query. So let's go ahead and see what we do. Now let me close everything from here, because now we will start from the top, so from our navbar like this. Or I can use my app.js, and from there we can navigate where we want to go. So here we got the container, and now the navbar. So inside the navbar, as you see, we got all the components. So here we start with our container. So here for the container, before starting for the responsiveness, let's give it also a position of, for example, fixed, so we can see this all the time as we scroll. So if it is fixed, and if we go back, now if we scroll this, as you can see everything is still here, but there are some margin and padding here, so let's remove them also. So for this, inside our app.js, we got our global CSS. So inside this, we will use the global styles. So here I'll say star, which means for everything, and here I'll say the margin will be 0, and also the padding also will be 0, like this. Save it, and if we go back, you can see the margin and padding is gone from here, like that, and we get everything. So let's take care of the responsiveness now. Now for responsiveness, I'll remove the menu items from here and small screens. So let's see how to do this. Now to do the responsiveness, we have to go inside our navbar, and here we need the media and screen. So here we type media like this, and or you can say only screen. So media only screen like this, and then we define the width which we want to access. So I'll say the max width of the screen, if it is 600 pixel, so then it should do this for me like this. Now this way your browser will understand what do you want to do with other screens. So if it detects this code here, it will see which kind of CSS should it pass in this particular screen. For example, here it is for the small screens which are for mobile phones, or if you are using, for example, for iPads and other medium screens, you would be using min width, so min width of 600 pixel. And also for the larger screens, for example laptop or other larger screens, I'll say it is 992 pixel. Now if you are not familiar with the media screen sizes, so you can just Google it here. So inside Google you will say media screen CSS. So media query CSS or media screen CSS sizes, for example, like this. Now here you will get all the sizes which are defined. So here, for example, for iPads and tablets it is this screen size, and also for small screen laptops this screen sizes. So there are many ways to use this. So if you are a beginner, go ahead and learn those CSS breakpoints, but in this video I'll also clear everything for you, so don't worry about this. So let's go ahead now inside VS Code and see how to do everything. So for the larger screens I said I'll be using 992 pixel. So for this I'll say, for example, so as an example I'll say the width should be just 10%, so we can see everything. Now if we go back, you can see it got a width of 10%. Now if I go ahead and say width of 100% again, now if we go back we can see everything here. Now also I can say the display of this should be none, for example. So I'll say display of this and these screens should be none, like this. I'll say none, and if we go back we can't see anything. But if I open this, so let me open some responsive tools here. So responsive design mode, and inside this, as you see, we got back everything here, because in this screen the display is not none. So let me use some more. So here I'll be using for desktop, and here we'll be using for iPads, for example. Now I go here and say responsive design mode, and here I'll be using iPad, so it will be medium screens. Now as you see, we got those menu here, but inside our larger screens we don't have them because we have set the display of them to none. So this way we can define for each screen what we want to do for the CSS. So here, for example, now if I say 600 pixel, so I use 600 pixel, which is for iPads. So if I go back, now it's gone here, and also inside my iPad it's gone here, but for mobile screens it is available. So this way we can change everything. Now we understand how to change everything. So instead of typing everything, I'll paste those media in a screen and I'll explain everything. So this will save some time for us. Now I'll copy some text from here, so the media in screen, and I have typed comment this also so you understand this better. I'll say for mobiles the max width of 600, so it will be for mobiles. The width of this will be 100% and also the height of 8%. For tablets the width 100% and the height 5%, and the same way for desktops. Let's save this, and if we go back you can see we got those height here, but at the moment you can just see this difference here. Now here I'll make some more changes. For example, I'll make this to 10%. So here instead of 5% I'll say 10%. Now as you see we got a larger nav bar here. So it depends to you how you design this, but for me it is just okay like that. So here in small screens I want to hide this menu, so let's see how to do this. Now for this I'll just go ahead inside my center container, so which is here. Inside this is our menu, so I'll go here and paste this media query, in which I have set for mobiles the display of this will be none, and for the other screens the display of this will be flex, and also for the large and medium. So save it, and if you go back it's gone from here. Now don't worry about this nav here, we'll take care of this in a minute. So here we got this already, and here also, but inside small screen it's gone. So now for the media screens of large and medium, let's design these menu items a little bit better. So I'll just copy some text. So here inside my menu items, so here for them, I'll paste it here. So the font size and the medium screens will be 15 pixel, and also the margin right will be 15 pixel. Also margin right 30 pixel for laptops and etc., and font size of 20 pixel. Let's save it, and as you see, it's looking gorgeous here. And for the larger screens, now as you see, it's looking beautiful also here. So it's the way we want. Now let me order this. So large screen, medium screen, and small screen, like that. Perfect. So now let's take care of this button here. So for the button, I'll go down here and paste this code here. Now for this, I'm just changing the padding. So now if we go back here, we don't see any changes because this will be the same thing, but here as you see, it's smaller and looking beautiful like this. And we are overflowing here. That's because of the section of hero. We will take care of them in a minute. So for now, just ignore this overflow here. So for the small screen also, it's overflowing, but we will take care of them in a minute. So for now, it's okay here. Now let's go ahead and see what else we should change. Now for the navbar, I think it's enough. So let's go ahead and take care of our next section, which is the hero here. So I'll go ahead inside the hero. So here we will need some height for this container. Now we are covering the height of 90%. So that's not the way we want. So for this, let me copy some more text here. So I'll be using here median screen. So here I'm using height of 60% and mobile sizes, and also 55% for medium sizes, and for larger screens, laptops and larger screens, so it will be 80%. So let's save this, and if we go back, you can see there's no different. The height is the same way, but here all those margin and padding is gone. Now let me remove this so you can see the difference better. So now if we go back, you can see there's a large margin here and also from bottom. And the reason is we are using height of 90%. So it will be always 90%. So to change this, we use our media query, which is coming from this query here. Now I'll say here height of 60%, and also for other screens it will be 80%. So save it, and if you go back, it's looking just gorgeous here. So it's done here. Now here also it's beautiful, everything is looking gorgeous. Now let's go ahead and see what else we can do. So here for the left also we need to make some changes. So I'll say the left, so the width of this in small screens of mobiles 50%, and in other screens it will be in medium screen 100%, and also we will give a width of 60% inside laptops. So save it, and if we go back here, we got everything as always, but here we got some changes. Now you can see it's looking more beautiful and more compact. So let's go ahead and make some more changes so that we get everything as we want. Now we should take care of this title here. So I'll go ahead here, now inside title, let me paste some code here. So we got here, I'll say in small for mobiles, the width of this should be 100%, and also I'll get some smaller font size of 30 pixel. For tablets 85% and font size of 30 pixel. And also for the other screens, the width will be 85%, and also if you don't define any size here, it will use this from here. So I'll save it, and if we go back, now as you see, the text here is looking much beautiful like that, and also here by this, but now at the moment we can't see because it's overflowing everything here. So let's go ahead and take care of that. Then we got the description. For this, of course, we need to make some changes also. So as you see, we are changing all the way just the width. You can define this the way you want, but for me it was just like that. So here I'll say the width of this for mobiles, it should be 80%, And also the text align should be center because it will look beautiful in mobiles. And for other screens, so for iPads, it will take the 70% again, and also for the laptops. So save it, and if you go back, now here it will be the same, there's no changes, but here as you see the text is aligned center like that. So let me remove this. So now we go back to VS Code and we'll see what else we got. We got the right container. Now in right container there's an image. So for mobile screens I'll just remove that image. So the display of this will be none. So let me paste the code here. So it will just say the display of this inside the max width of 600 pixels should be none. So if we go back here, there's no image and we got everything aligned as we want. All the overflow was because of that image here. And now the width is also for the never 100% and also here. So let's take care of the image also. So for this, let me copy some code here and I'll go back inside my image. Now here we will make this inside iPads the width of 400 pixel, but inside our laptop it will be the same 500 pixel. Now remember, if you don't define this width here, then it will take for the laptops also the 400 pixel. So let me save this like that so you can see. Now here we got a smaller image, but if we come here it's also smaller. If you want the smaller image you can use this, but for me 500 pixel is better I think. So I'll paste this like this, and now we got a larger image here and here it's smaller. So great. Now what else we should do? We should take care of these buttons here. So let's go ahead. I'll be copying this code from here and paste it for us. So inside the buttons it should be. Now it's here. We got the buttons container and then the buttons here like that. So below this I'll put this here. So for mobiles I'll just change the padding of that here. So we got 15 pixel, 30 pixel. So for top and bottom 15 pixel, from left and right 30 pixel, but in mobile screen I say it should be something smaller. So 10, 25, and for medium screens 10, 30, and for the other screens it will be 15, 30 pixel. Save it. So if we go back, you can see here the buttons are looking much better. Now let me remove this zoom from here so we can see everything. Now as you see everything is looking gorgeous here, but still we got some more padding here. So let's take care of this also. For this I'll go back to VS Code and here I'll change the height for that. So height in medium screens I think 50 is enough. Like that, and yes, it is looking much better now. You can make it more smaller so it will remove all the paddings here, but I think for me it is beautiful like this. And also here it's looking gorgeous. Perfect. Now we got everything, and also here we got some more text. So let's remove this because it's not looking like that. So here inside the hero we'll be using this text. So I'll just remove some of them. So like this one from here, let's save this and see. Now it's looking better, but here I'll give it some margin from the top to buttons because it's not looking good. Or we can give this description some margin bottom. So let's see what is first. So here we get the description and I'll say margin bottom. So bottom, and this will be like 2%. So save it, and if we go back you can see we got a good margin here, and also here it's looking beautiful. Here the same way. Perfect. Now we got everything responsive. So let's take care of other components. So for these components we don't need to do anything because it's already responsive, and the reason is we are using the flex of wrap. So if I go inside info boxes, here as you see the flex wrap to wrap, which means if it doesn't find any space in the width, it will just go ahead and break it down in another row. So the same way here, if we come back you can see everything is looking beautiful here. And also here there's no problem, so we don't need to do anything for that. But for our sections, so if we come back here, now you see it's not looking that bad, but it's not that beautiful as we want. And also here for the screen, now it's looking bad here. So let's go ahead and take care of them. So I'll go back here, and then I got our sections. So we start from section 1. So I'll go here, but now here instead of this we got no CSS, so that's why we have to change everything in one place, and that's the reason I used everything inside the styles. So this way we will change just the CSS here and it will work for both of the sections. So let me show you what I mean. So I get this style section. Now inside this we got all the components related to this part here and also here. So if we make changes here, so it will be applied for this one also. Now let's do this. So here first of all I'll be changing the wrapper. For the container I don't need to do anything because I have tested already everything, and here I'm removing all the margins from this section for mobiles and then also for medium screens. But for the other screens, which is the laptop and larger screens, it will be the same as here. So let's save this, and if you go back you can see it is looking beautiful. Now the same way here, and if you go back here it's not that bad as before. So let's take care of other parts. For this I'll go here, and now we need for the left container. So where's the left? It's here. We'll be using some padding here also. So the width of this will be changed inside every screen. So for the small screens, for mobiles 100%, for tablets and medium screens 55%, and also for laptops the same way. Let's save this, and if we go back you can see it's looking more beautiful, and also here the same way. Now let's make more changes, and now I'll be using for the header also. So here I'll go ahead inside my header and I'll paste this text here. Now here I'll just align the text as center everywhere, and also I'll be using the font size changes because for the header here, as you see, the fonts are too big and small screens. So that's why I'm changing them here. So it will be 20 pixel and medium screens, and also 25 pixel and mobiles, and also and 35 pixels the same way for the laptops. So let's save this like that, and if we go back you can see we got some more place here, and also here it's looking gorgeous. Now let's take care of our title. So I'll come back here and I'll go inside the title. So here I'll paste this one. So here I got text align center everywhere, and also I said the font size and mobile screens should be 20 pixels so we can see everything better. Now let's save this, and if we go back you can see it is aligned centered, and also here in mobile screens I made the size a little bit bigger because this way we can read everything much better. Now let's take care of this description. So I'll go here inside description, and for the description I'm using the font weight of bold everywhere, and also I'll say the text align will be center, but for laptops the text align will be left, and also padding right. So I give it in small screens 5%, but in the laptops I don't give it any padding right. And also the font size in laptops will be 25 pixels like that, and font weight will be lighter so it will look a little bit better in these screens. Now let's save this, and if we go back we can see everything is aligned center, so the users inside our iPad can read everything very clearly and see everything beautifully without any problem. The same way for this one here, but for small screens we have to still make some changes because it's too big here for them, I think. And also this image should be hidden because it's taking the place and it's not looking beautiful here. So let's take care of that also. For that I'll go here and inside the list items. So we got left, right, and then we got our list here, and inside this we got list items. So for the list items, as I said, it was too big for the small screens, so I'll be using the padding of 10 pixel and 10 pixel instead of here we are using 20 pixel and 20 pixel. So it's 20 pixel from top and bottom, 20 pixel from right and left, but it will be 10 pixel here. The same way for iPads, and also margin of everywhere. So we get here 5 pixel, but I changed this to 2 pixel, and also in the tablets it will be the same, and here also, and in laptops also everything will be the same as here. Now let's save this, and if we go back you can see it's looking much better here, and also the same way here, everything is looking beautiful. Perfect. Now here it's the same as before, and we got everything as we want. Now let's go ahead and take care of this image inside our mobile phones. So I'll go here. So for our image we got the right container. So let's go ahead and find the right, which is here. Now inside this I'll just hide this right container inside our mobile phones. If you just hide the image, the space of the right container, which is the width of 40%, it will be always there, so this way it will not look better. So go ahead, just display none for the right container. And also here the width of this will be 50% inside the tablets, because our image will look a little bit better here. And also I'll give it a margin of bottom of 5% here, and then inside our laptops and desktops it will be just the width of 40%. So let's save this, and if we go back you can see it's looking beautiful here, but here also we got covered everything. Now the users can see and read everything much clearer. So if we go back to the other section, here everything is also done for us. Perfect. So now we are done with this section. So let's take care of this section here also. So for this, let's go back to VS Code, and here we need to open the section 2. So it's here, and for this let me copy the CSS now like that. So here the background size of this will be changed in every screen. So it will be background size of 100% in mobiles, the same way inside our tablets, but inside our laptops the background size will be covered just as before. Let's save this. Now if we go back, as you see we can see that laptop here. So this laptop is here, and also if we go here you can see we can see everything of that laptop. So that's why I gave this a background size of 100%. So that's why, and here if we do the same thing, so it's covered, so we can see everything also. Perfect. In the same way as here also we can see everything image, but if we go back here you can see everything is covered of 100% for us, and also here the same way. So now it's looking perfect here. Now let me show you the difference of this also, so you understand this better. Now I'll use this background of cover for everywhere. So here I'll be using the cover. Now if we go back you can see we can just see this wall here, and also for the laptop we can't see any laptop here. So that's why I use this 100%. So now if we save this like this, and if we go back you can see the laptop is here, and also for the other image we can see everything here. So now let's take care of these descriptions here also, because it's not looking good like this. So for this I'll go to description, so which is here, and I'll paste my CSS here. So now I'm using the width of 90% for mobiles, because mobile phones are smaller and they need more place here, and also for tablets it will be 80%, but for our laptops it will be just 40%. This way it will be aligned in center. So let's save this. So if we go back, as you see the text is looking much beautiful here. Now we can also align this center. So let's do this also. Now for the mobile phones, I want to align the text at center. So I'll say text align should be center because it will look better, I think. Yes, it is. So it's much beautiful here. For the iPad, let me see. Here, let me do the same thing also. So text align will be center like this. And it's looking much better now. Perfect. So we can leave this just like that. And also for the height of this, I think we should make some changes because the height of that container, it is just margin top of 10% and we got no height here. So let's define some height also for them. So here I'll say the height of this will be 40% or something like that. 40% in mobile screens. So let's see the changes. And now it's looking beautiful. So let's do the same thing for the iPads. So let me copy this height and paste it here like this. And if we go back, you can see we got some more width and it's looking nice. And also here it's looking beautiful as before. Now we got everything much readable here. Perfect. It's looking just gorgeous. Now I like it like this, and here also we can read everything. Yeah. So we got everything done here. Now we should take care of this our theme, and I think this one should be fine like this because it's wrap. Yeah, it's done here and also here. It's looking just gorgeous. We don't need to make any changes here. For these cards, here we could give this a width of 100%, so we would cover everything here. And inside the iPads, it's looking beautiful. We don't need to make any changes. And also for our footer, it is gorgeous here. I don't want to make any changes. And also here, now here we have to make some changes because it's not looking good. But here, yeah, it's perfect. Now just for the footer and also for these cards, we remove the margin here, and also we have to take care of this footer here. So here I'll go inside my styled cards, so it's coming from here. Now for the first one, here will be the width is 350 pixel, and I'll make this 100%. So I'll just copy everything and I'll paste it just here. Now as you see, I'm just using the width of 100% inside mobiles, but for the others it will be the same. Let me save this, and if we go back, you can see all the margin is gone, but still we got a little bit of margin, which I like this way. So I don't want to remove this. We can remove this also because of some paddings. It's here, and also for these cards you can see it's looking much beautiful here. Perfect. Now it's looking gorgeous here, everything. So now let's take care of this footer here. So for this, let's go back to VS Code and we go inside the footer. But before this, let's remove everything from here like that. And now we got our footer. Let me close everything. Then source, and here we'll be using the footer. Now inside this, first of all, we got the container, so I'll paste the code for container here. So I'll make just the width for the mobile phones 100%, and for the others, so for tablets it will be 20%, for the laptops it will be 30%. Like this. Let's save this, and if we go back, we can't see any changes yet, but here it's looking better now, and also here it's looking the same. So let's go ahead and make more changes. So now I'll go inside the title, and here I'll paste this code. Now here also I'm using for mobile phone the width of this 100% and padding of 2%. But for the others, there will be the same padding of here and everything will be the same. Just the text of this will be aligned center inside the tablets. Now let me use for the description also. So I'll paste some text here. So here I'm using the width of this inside the tablets 40%, for mobile 100%, and also the text will be aligned center. So here everywhere the text is aligned centered, and also I'm using some padding of 2% here, and the difference is just this font size here, because we are using for mobile phones a smaller font size of 15 pixel, but for the tablets 18 pixel, and for our laptops 20 pixel, like that. Let's save this, and if we go back, as you see, everything is looking now very nice here. And also here we got everything as we want, and the same way for our services. But now as you see, the titles is not looking good here. So let's remove everything from the title. I think that's a mistake here. So let's remove this, save it, and if we go back, you can see it's aligned center. In this way it's much better. So perfect. So for me everything is looking gorgeous. We don't need to make any changes here, and everything is looking just beautiful. And here also, yes, I see no problem anymore. So like that. And of course now you know how to change everything, so you can define your own CSS. So don't worry about anything. If you learned everything, then everything is done for you already. So now let's take care of the dark mode here. So you'll see how easy it is to make everything in a dark mode, and it will look more beautiful in dark mode, believe me. So I'll go back to VS Code, and now we don't need the footer here. So let's go ahead inside our app.js. So now inside the app.js, we got our theme here. Now as you see, we got all the colors which we are using for this website. Now for the dark theme, of course, we need the same colors or the same keys here, but with different colors. So I'll just copy this theme and I'll call this now dark theme. Now inside the dark theme, we got our colors. So the primary color is normally dark blue, but as the background will be black inside the dark theme, so that's why I'll change this to white. And also for secondary, you can change it to any other color, but I leave it just like that. And then I got this light color, which is black. This will be for the icon of our button, where we will change the mode to dark and light. So inside the dark theme, if someone click this, everything will be black, but this light color will be yellow. So it will be just like a bulb. So if someone click on that yellow, everything will be in a light mode. And then for text, it will be snow because it's a white color, and it will look the same beautiful as always. And for the text dark, the gray, it's also fine for me. Then we got this background default, which is white. Now in dark mode, we'll be using a black background. So that's why I'm changing the color to black. And then we got this background primary, which is dark blue for some icons. So instead of that, it will be black here, but here it will be still dark blue. And then we got the background secondary, it's also dark blue. So instead of this, I'll say here it will be also black. And for the background light, a light blue is okay. Now let me use this dark theme so we can see everything. So instead of this theme, I'll be using the dark theme now. So I'll save it. And if we go back to browser, you can see everything is dark and beautiful. Now as you see, for most of our components, we don't need to make any kind of changes. Everything is looking gorgeous here. But still, we have to make some changes. For example, if I hover here, as you see, the text is gone, and we have to take care of that. And then also for these buttons, there's a problem. And here in some places we have forgot to use the theme color, and we have used just a static color. And then we got these colors here also, which is not looking good. And also we don't use this blue color anymore. So let's start with this button. Now for this, we'll go back to VS Code, and here it's inside our navbar. So I'll go ahead and open the navbar, and here we will search for that button. So we got here this one, and we will change its background color. Now the background color of this is primary. So what's the primary color here? If we come back, normally it's dark blue, but for the primary color for dark theme is white. So that's why we can't see anything. So how to solve this? Now we got this BG primary, which is dark blue, and here it is also BG primary with black. So we can change that to this BG primary, because as primary color we are using this dark blue, so that's why we have used that here also. Now let me show you everything. Now here I'll say it is BG primary, and also for the text, so for the color of that we are using the BG default, but instead of this I'll be using the text color. So just the text, which is the snow color here, which is coming from here. So let's go ahead and see what else we need to change. We need to change this white color also. So I'll be using the same color from here, the text color also for this border. And now for its hover, so as we hover on that, it should change its color. So we got this primary color, which makes that button white. Now if we save this and if we go back, you can see our button is looking beautiful. But if we hover on it, everything is gone. And the reason is we are making the background of this white. So let's see how to do this. Now here also I'll be using this BG primary, which is inside dark mode black, but inside our normal theme it will be just dark blue. So that's what we want. Now I'll copy this one and use it here also, and I'll save it. And if we go back and I hover it, you can see everything is looking beautiful. Now if I go ahead and change the theme here, so from the dark theme I change this to normal theme, which is light. Now as you see, we got everything the same way as we got before. So please remember, you have to check everything in light and dark mode as you change them. Now for me, as I did this before, so I won't be changing everything all the time, but for you, you must do this. Otherwise, you make everything for dark mode, and inside the light mode, there will be some problems. With that being said, now let's go ahead and take care of the other buttons here. So for this, I'll go to my hero because they are inside my hero. Now I'll remove the navbar also. So and hero, and here we need to search for the button. So let me just search it here. So Control F and I'll say button like this, and it's here. So inside of this, we'll be using some other colors. Now normally we are using this BG default color, and that's what we don't want to use as color. So instead of this, I'm using the text color, which is the white color. And also I'll be using the text color for its background. So background, it will be text color. And then for this border, I'll be changing this with BG secondary, I think, like this. And also we need to change some colors here. So it's BG light, which is a light blue, it's fine. But the second one is the primary color, and this is getting white here, so that's why we can't see anything. So for this also here, we can use the BG secondary or the BG primary. So it will be the same as here. So it can be BG primary or BG secondary. I'm using both of them so you can understand the difference here. Now let me use this here. So BG secondary, and we are good to go with that. And after this, inside the hover, of course, we need to make some changes. Now this primary is creating the problem everywhere. So instead of this, we can say it's BG primary and not just the primary color. So like that. And I'll save it and you'll see the result. So let's go ahead. And as you see, we can see the everything, but now we got another problem. So we don't got any border lines here. So let's change this also. Now for this, I'll go here. So here we have used for the border the BG secondary, And instead of this, I'll be using the primary, which will be inside the light mode, blue color, but inside our dark mode, it will be just the light color of white here. So let's save this. And if we go back, as you see, it's looking just the same like this here. And if we hover this, we get everything as we want. Now it's looking perfect here. So let's take care of this component here, which is our text component. So for this, I'll go to our text banner. Let me close this arrow and to text banner. And here we need to use every color also. So let me copy some props here. So instead of typing everything, I'll just copy paste them. So here we are using no background color for this. So let me use this. So it will be background color and we'll be using this one. So here I'll be using the BG default. So it will be black and dark mode. So BG default like this. We save this and go back. You can see we got covered everything, but still we got some background color from these cards. We will take care of them in a minute, but now let's change the color of these text or titles here. So I'll copy this one. So and then we got this dark blue color. Now instead of this dark blue, here we'll be using our primary color, which makes everything white in dark mode, and also will be blue or dark blue inside light mode. So I save it, and if we go back, you can see it's looking beautiful. Also, as we are using this component here also, so that's why everywhere it is done. Perfect. Now let's take care of this place also. Now for this, I'll go ahead inside my info boxes. Here, we need to define a background color also. So let me copy everything from here, just like that. And I'll paste it here, save it, and if we go back, everything is dark and beautiful. Perfect. Now we got almost everything, but as I hover here, as you see, we got some problem. Our text is gone because it has the same white color. Now we have to take care of this also. Now to solve this problem, what we can do is we can create one new color for this hover. So I'll go here inside this dark mode or the light mode. I'll just copy this one and I'll say it will be hover color. So hover color, you can call it anything you want. It will be a light blue inside our light mode. So I'll copy this one. So here I'll paste this hover color, and now I'll call this one will be dark blue like this. Save it. And now also inside my style.card, I have to change this to hover color. So I'll say it is hover color like this, and I'll save it. And if we go back, now if we hover, you can see everything is looking nice and beautiful. But it depends to you which color you want to use. You have to use a color in which you can see this white color and also the background. For now, the blue is not looking that bad, so I can leave it just like this. But here inside our cards, also you will get the same thing. So it all depends to you how you want to use it. Now for me, I don't want to use any kind of color here. So I'll just remove this color. So inside this dark mode, we'll get no hover. And I think it is fine and beautiful than getting any kind of hover here. So now let me change everything in light mode so we can check if everything is working. Now copy the theme and I'll use it here. Then as you see, everything works as we want. Our hover colors here. Now everything is looking perfect. So now let's go ahead and create that button in which we can click to change the color in dark and light mode. So for this, we'll go back to VS Code. So now inside my app.js, I'll be using the state. So I'll say const and then my array. And here you can call this dark and set dark, or we can call this mode. So it will be light and dark mode. So set mode like this, and this will be equal to use state. So I'll import the use state from React hooks, and then here we can use a string of light and dark, but I use here a boolean. So I'll say it's false at the start, so it will be light mode, but if we put this to true, it should be in dark mode. So let's use this functionality also here. Now here, instead of this theme, I'll be using the if else statement. So I'll say if mode, then it should be theme dark. So if the mode is true, it should be the dark theme. So it's dark theme like this. Else it should be the light theme, which is just the theme like that. And now if I save this and if we go back, you can see it's light mode. But if I put this to true, so here I say true and save it, and if you go back, everything is black, so it is in dark mode. Now let's make a button for this. Now here the initial state will be false, and then I'll be using that button inside my navbar. So here I'll be using our state also as prop. So I'll say set mode like this. It will be just the same way as set mode. So inside this set mode, I'll be using the state of set mode, and then we will get this mode also. So I'll say mode is equal to, and here I'll be using the same name, mode. So mode and mode, you can change it, of course, anything you want. For example, you could say dark and set dark, and here would be some other names. It all depends to you. For me, it's fine like that. So let's go ahead inside our navbar. So now inside the navbar, after our button, so there's a button here, and after this I'll be using another constable, and I'll call this also like dark mode. So I'll say const and dark mode, or we can call this mode, but let me call this dark mode for now. So like this, and it will be styled, of course, and here I'll say dot, it should be anchor tag, or it will be a button. So let me make this a button like that. And then, so before doing any kind of CSS, let's go ahead and use this. So dark mode, and I'll be using this after this button. So let me paste this here like that, and I'll say here mode. So I'll call this mode, and inside this we'll use on click. So I'll say on click, it should use a callback function, and here we'll be using our prop. So inside our app.js, we have used this prop for our navbar. So let's go ahead, and here first of all we need those props. So inside my navbar, we'll be using the mode and set mode, I think. Yeah, it's here. So it will be mode and set mode like this, or it will be capital, I think. Yes. So mode and set mode, and then we can use this inside this callback function. Now here I'll say set mode. So, and it should set the mode to the opposite of the mode, which is this prop here. So it will be the opposite of that. If it's false, it will be true. If it's true, it will be false. So just like that, and let's save this. And if we go back, now here as you see, we got this button. If I click on it, everything is black. And now if I click it back, then we get everything in light mode. But as you see, this button is not looking good here. So instead of this, I'll be using a star. So here in browser, I'll say CSS clip path generator, and we'll go here, and here you can use any kind of design you want. For me, I'll be using this star here. So I'll just copy everything from here. So copy, and we'll be using this inside this dark mode component. So here, like that, I'll paste everything and save it. And then of course, as it's a button, so it won't look better. That's why I'll change this back to div like this. And then we have to specify some more CSS so we can see everything better. The first thing will be the background color. So the background color of this will be from our themes. So we have used that light color. I show you in a second. So here I'll be using the props. So props, and then we need this props.theme. So arrow, and I'll say props.theme like this, dot colors, and from here we'll be using the light color, and it will be light like this, which is coming from this color here. Now as you see, the light in dark mode is yellow, and the light color inside the light mode will be black like this. Now I'll save it like that, and then we need some height and width for this. So I'll say height of this, for example, 30 pixel, and the width of this will be something like 30 pixel also. So, and let's give it about the radius if we want, so of 100%, whatever, and the cursor should be pointer so they can click, or this should be clickable pointer like this. Save it, and now let's go back and inside the browser, and here as you see we got this beautiful star, and if we click on this, as you see it's in light mode. And as we are using some text, so let's remove that text from here. It's not looking beautiful, so I'll just self close this, so like that. And if you go back, now there's no text anymore. Now it's looking beautiful. If I click on this, we got everything in light mode, but we can click on it and everything is in dark mode. Perfect. Now everything is looking beautiful and gorgeous. And also in other themes we have the same functionality, but here we got some problems. So let's see what's wrong here. So for this I'll go back to VS Code, and here inside our hero we got the right. So this got the background color, background default, it is black. So for image we got this image, and we don't have any color for this, so let's use this one here. Maybe that's the problem. Now image, I'll give it this background color, save it, and if we go back it's gone, and still we get some problems here. So it's also with this hero. Now let's see what's wrong. So I'll be using this color everywhere, so that's why let me copy this, and here we got the description, and this is text dark, so we don't have any problem there. Here we are using the left also bg default, but this container doesn't got any color, so let's use this here, background default. Now if we go back, everything is gone. Beautiful. Now we are done with this. Perfect. I love this dark mode. So if we change this to light mode, still everything is looking perfect. Dark mode again, and also inside our mobile phones everything is also looking just gorgeous. So dark mode, light mode, and it's just perfect. So I hope you like everything and you have learned a lot from this course. So if you want to learn more things like that, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel, and if you like the video, press the like button also, and if there's any problem you can always comment me on the comment box, and I'll answer this as soon as I can. So with that being said, I wish you all the best and see you soon in another course.